as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
You deserve a dedicated financial resource. Meet Michelle Shute with West Point Financial Group, a Mass Mutual firm. Michelle builds lifelong relationships, guiding families through legacy strategies, from grandparents down to grandkids. She helps people secure their financial independence. Her tailored approach to savings can help you prepare for college, retirement, or business protection. Michelle's needs-based approach helps you prepare for all of life's biggest moments. Michelle Shute of West Point Financial Group, helping you earn, learn, and secure your tomorrow. Email Michelle at mshoot@financialguide.com. That's MSCHOOT at financialguide.com. Local firms are sales offices of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mass Mutual, Springfield, Massachusetts, 01111-001, and are not subsidiaries of Mass Mutual or its affiliated companies. Michelle Shute is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory office located at 30 South Wacker Drive, Suite 2700, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A warm day today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. Our high 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Periods of clouds and sun. A hot day tomorrow. Thunderstorm for the afternoon. A high tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So if you missed it last night, the suspect in that assassination of the Minnesota state legislator was taken into custody. We'll get to that at 5:38. Want to start with the Madigan sentencing. We talked about it a couple times last week. Of course, it happened after our program on Friday. 7.5 and 2.5. 7.5 years, $2.5 million fine. Is that sufficient?
312-642-5600. Phone lines are open. You could also text us on the very same number.
I know Jim Edgar and Jerry Reinsdorf and all sorts of other tax eaters and grifters and rent seekers are despondent, or were despondent on Friday. I'm sure it's carried over to Monday. Such a selfless public servant sent away for such a long time, given that he is in his early 80s. So perhaps some of you who were apologists for Blagojevich would like to chime in and also rally to the defense of Madigan. But I found it was interesting, the Chicago Tribune editorial board taking a relatively hard line.
Really?
Madigan admitted no wrongdoing in his own short statement before the judge handed down the sentence. He did say, "I'm not perfect," which was a grand concession. But as the Tribune editorial board, yes, the Tribune editorial board, the evidence showed Madigan did indeed work hard in hatching and executing the schemes that a jury of Madigan's peers concluded were felonies. The justice behind this sentence reflects how Madigan ran the state for so long, his unprincipled grip on power, and the price we all pay for many years to come for the financial malpractice he left in his expensive wake. They characterize the sentence as stiff but not unfair. We feel sorry for Madigan and his family, but we applaud this firm and final repudiation of the Velvet Hammers brand of politics. My. Congratulations to Chris Jones whipping that neo-Marxist editorial board mainly. I think actually Chris Jones, we've had him on the show, the editorial page editor there now, is actually a somewhat reasonable guy and doesn't quite get all of it, but he gets some of it, and he certainly got the takeaway here, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Madigan, it was a 3.5-hour hearing. Madigan, he lied on the witness stand. That's the problem if you take the stand in your own defense. Don't get caught in a lie, because the judge repeatedly brought that up. You know, you lied on the witness stand. He didn't show any remorse, I don't think. He didn't say he was sorry. He just said that he's not a broken man. He
said, I'm not perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
wow. Well, I mean, that when it comes to sentencing, that stuff matters. I don't know why his lawyer had him go take the stand in his own defense, but
And the Tribune's editorial on this again. And who paid to keep the Madigan machine running, the vaunted Madigan machine? Anyone paying taxes. Anyone paying an electric bill, since this revolved around skullduggery associated with ComEd. That is just about everyone in the state. The judge's agreement with prosecutors that Madigan lied when he took the witness stand in his own defense suggested there would be no mercy forthcoming. He went even so far as to call Madigan's lies a, quote, nauseating display, unquote. I guess all those individuals, including some people I like, friends, even friends of mine, who wrote those pleas for leniency, I guess they didn't follow the trial very closely. Or they just didn't care that Madigan was a amoral, skullduggerous, duplicitous political crime boss. I guess you just don't care because once upon a time, somewhere down the road, he did something for me. And isn't that the real commentary on Illinois? Blakey, the federal judge in the case, referenced good old Honest Abe. He gets referenced every time a Chicago or Illinois politician is about to go on vacation to a federal penitentiary. We get a Lincoln reference from prosecutors, from judges. But he mentioned Honest Abe, Blakey, saying, it's really hard to be Honest Abe, right? He's a unicorn in our American history. Being great is hard. But being honest is not. Being honest is actually very easy. It's hard to commit crimes. Well, not here. I don't know how difficult it is. Yes, it takes some scheming and manipulating, all of which were the sorts of things that punctuated Madigan's reign. Speaking on this No Kings weekend, Madigan's reign here, supported not just by the residents of his Southwest Side legislative district, but by all of these enlightened, educated, goo-goo suburbanites who sent roll call votes and continue to send roll call votes for Madigan and Madigan's way of doing business to Springfield. So I guess the question is beyond Madigan is, will this signal a clean break and a cleaning up of Illinois politics and a changing of the political culture here? And my answer, it would be a resounding no, because I don't think there was much effort made by most residents to even pay attention to this. I think everybody just, like they have with previous governors, nobody voted for him, nobody supported him, nobody financed him. Let's just walk past this very quickly and pretend like I didn't have anything to do with this and I had no knowledge of this. And to the extent I did, the Mike Madigan convicted of those corruption charges isn't the Mike Madigan I know, and that's all I can go on.
The tale of two Mike Madigan.
All the beautiful lies that Illinoisans tell themselves to countenance what they countenance. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan, and thanks for taking my call. the thing that stands out to me is over and over when these leftists get caught in all kinds of serious crimes and big things, they always come up with these stupid excuses like, well, he's too old, he's this and that, his wife needs his help.
He has a family.
Oh,
People who have families, people who
He's a
have families,
grandfather.
people who have families can't go to jail. Yeah.
exactly.
Greatest joy in his life, he said, was being a husband and a father, and now a grandfather.
Well, if that was, it's one of those things where my immediate response, if that was the greatest joy or those were the greatest joys in your life, then maybe you should have been a little bit more careful following the law so you didn't risk those greatest joys in your life. How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And that's why, like, you see this double standard between the left when a leftist is basically caught in a crime, and when a conservative or a Christian or anything else, and if they throw the damn book at him and nothing matters or anything like that, what a disgusting mess we got ourselves with these people.
Thanks for the call, Craig. And I for so many years, since I've been in the political arena in the state for so many years, oh, he's so cagey, sagacious.
Can't find him. He doesn't have a cell phone.
Careful, no cell phone. He's fastidious. He cuts up his little apple and has it for lunch. He's just a mastermind. I always say, no, he just looks like a mastermind compared to what the Republican Party is putting forward. He just seems like a mastermind because he's serious about winning elections, and most of the Republican leadership, at least since I've been around, has not been serious about it. Or their way to winning elections is to play the spoils of war game. See Jim Edgar, see Jim Thompson, see George Ryan, to play that game. Was it a mastermind? And all it took for him to come tumbling down was what? One of these bottom feeders, Danny Solis in this case, one of these bottom feeding, room temperature intellects in his own caucus, and one of his henchmen, essentially, to get in trouble and then flip on him. Yeah. That's all it took. Oh, genius. So, 7.5 years, $2.5 million. I mean, it's better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, if he would have maxed him out, it wouldn't have bothered me a second. He deserves to rot in jail like any other crime family boss, because that's what he was.
Now, can his obviously they're going to appeal the sentence. Can he stay out of jail during that appeal process?
It would be highly unusual to allow that. I don't think Judge Blakey is inclined to provide that sort of dispensation. So no, he's going to serve at Northside.
Yeah, I just want to say on with Madigan, I don't believe he'll ever report to prison.
Well, what's he going to do?
Then? He's 83.
He's going to go on the lam. He's going to go hide in Ireland.
He'll die there.
The castle.
What is he going to do?
What I think he's going to do is leave the country.
Okay, Ed. Well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure he has to surrender his passport, but and if that's the way he wants to try to go out, get smuggled out of here at some point in the not too distant future, I doubt it. I doubt he does it that way. But
I mean, he'll be 90 when he gets out of jail, 90 plus. Yeah.
Roger, Southside.
Hi. I want to point something out that you probably already know, Dan. So for the last 40 years, I knew a lot of people that were members of his organization. Okay? Usually that required whatever job you got in municipalities, it was 3 to 5% of what your salary was that you either took in tickets. And if you couldn't sell the tickets to your lackey friends, then you ate them. And Burke had the same program for years. That's why Burke's war chest was so high for years from the St. Rita tickets. With that said, I can tell you confidently, almost all of these people over the last 15 years fell out with Madigan or got disappointed or got pushed to the back. Yes, they played the game. Yes, but they got tired. You know, they got okay. Regrets, they've had a few. That's all well and good. And what are they doing about it now? What did they do about it when they started having those regrets? I mean, the problem is that, the problem is that people sold their souls for 30 pieces of silver. That's the first problem. The more practical problem is that Madigan and Burke had their hooks into you for life, because what was the real payout from all those state and muni jobs? The pension.
So that means you had to serve out your time, and then you don't want to jeopardize it. Oh, I don't want some politician coming in and taking my pension away. That's what I did this thing for. I did 20 years or 25 years standing on my head so I could have the guaranteed 7-figure pension and retire at 52 or 55. So that was the deal that a lot of people made. And that's all well and good. And, this is to try to contextualize participation in this kleptocracy. And this is the way you had to do it. Well, that's what they always say with mob, too. The old outfit, the real outfit. Oh, you had to pay. Well, except the problem is in those neighborhoods where the outfit had significant influence, if not control, a lot of business owners and people didn't play. A lot of people stayed completely away from it. I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to send my kid to participate in that. So we make our choices, and we live with the consequences. Madigan didn't destroy this state alone. That's for sure. A lot of useful idiots, the willfully blind, those lacking a certain stoutness of heart and character. And to the extent that some people had recriminations somewhere along the way, I say again, okay, great, I get it. So what did you do about it? And if you're still around and you didn't do anything about it, how about starting today? Coming up at 5:38, the latest on the assassination of that Minnesota state legislator and her husband. That's 5:38.
But now we head into that newsroom, and here are the headlines.
Good morning. It's 63 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. needs to have Israel's back as conflicts with Iran continue.
Appearing on CNN State of the Union, Pence urged the U.S. to be ready to take decisive action.
At the end of the day, if Israel needs our help to ensure that the Iranian nuclear program is destroyed once and for all, the United States of America needs to be prepared to do it, because this is about protecting our most cherished ally.
His comments come as Israel and Iran exchanged deadly airstrikes for a third day. At least 10 people were killed after an unknown number of Iranian missiles broke through the Israeli air defense system. Iran claims nearly 80 people have been killed so far by Israeli attacks. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says Iran's nuclear program is being set back by the series of recent attacks. Here's Mark Mayfield.
While appearing on ABC's This Week, Ambassador Yechiel Leiter says that Israel will continue to do whatever it takes in order to stop Iran.
Yes, we've set them back dramatically, but not enough. And that's why this series of strikes is not going to end today or tomorrow.
The two countries say multiple people have been killed as a result of the multi-day conflict. Iran and the U.S. were scheduled to hold another round of nuclear talks in the country of Oman, but those talks have been canceled due to the conflict. I'm Mark Mayfield.
This report is sponsored by Starbucks. The Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is back. Notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry flavored pearls. Make it yours. Try it with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time. Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast using the National Weather Service.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McCray Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare more and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit godra.com.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Intervals of clouds and sun, a warm day. High today up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Hot day tomorrow. Periods of clouds and sun. Thunderstorm forward the afternoon. High tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So this terrible incidents of politically inspired violence, it would seem, in Minnesota over the weekend, as I'm sure people have heard by now. A former House Speaker and current state legislator and her husband were murdered. Another state legislator, state senator, and his wife were seriously injured by what is reportedly an individual who was posing as a police officer who went to their homes and had an assassination list, and they were on it. And fortunately, police showed up at the second stop. Yeah. And that interrupted his killing spree. So that's part of what we know. He was taken into custody last night after a 2-day manhunt in Minnesota.
Yeah, he was at State Senator John Hoffman's house and fired a total of 17 shots. 9 rounds hit him, 8 rounds hit his wife. They're lucky to be alive. And then they thought, well, we have to go to other state reps. We have to the former speaker. And they went to her house. And while they arrived at her house at 3:30, this guy, Vance Bolter, I don't even want to say his name, he was shooting Melissa Hortman and her husband. And so there was an exchange of gunfire between the suspect and police. He fled the scene. They ended up dead.
Yeah, it's interesting that he got away in those circumstances initially. But anyway, he's in custody now. So the police did hunt him down. That's the good news. The other thing that happened on Saturday morning, his wife was stopped in a vehicle with 3 other relatives. What was called a high-intensity stop. Inside the vehicle, reporters found a weapon, ammunition, cash, and passports. They have not been arrested, as far as I know.
They were detained for about 3 hours and then released.
But it's odd that...
very strange.
It's odd that they fled. They obviously... I can understand being distraught if they had nothing to do with this, but it's odd that you flee knowing that police are going to want to talk to you. The other thing that's odd about it was it didn't appear that he was living with his wife.
No, he had a roommate.
Yeah, his roommate read...
Mr. Carlson.
His roommate read a text to the media that he received from the alleged shooter prior to Well, subsequent to the incident, I don't exactly know when he discovered it, but he's not believed to be any part of this. This is the text message he got from his roommate.
I love you guys. I made some choices, and you guys don't know anything about this, but I'm going to be gone for a while. Sorry. Take your time. Maybe dead shortly. So I just want to let you know that I love you guys both, and I wish it had gone this way. I don't want to say anything more and implicate you in any way, because you guys don't know anything about this. But I love you guys, and I'm sorry for all the trouble this has caused.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same number. But why? Why did he had a list of 70 people. Those two politicians were on his list. Also, Governor Tim Walz was on the list, and Ilhan Omar, she was on it. But I can tell you this, the day before Melissa Hortman was shot and killed, she was the lone Democrat, Dan, who voted to cut health care access for adult illegal
Medicaid coverage.
immigrants, Medicaid coverage.
I know that people will be hurt
and she was
by that vote, and
I know.
We worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants. It's a move she made with a heavy heart.
I did what leaders do. I stepped up and I got the job done for the people of Minnesota.
The bill was deeply
is that why, what was his motivation? I know he has a manifesto. Are we ever going to see it?
Well, who are you asking?
I'm asking.
No one. Who would have an idea at this point? Who would have any idea? You have a list of 70 names. There's, the typical, rush to score political points. Somebody said, he was very pro-life, and his roommate said he voted for Trump. Well, then there are reportedly there are pro-life advocates on his list of 70.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what his motivation was. I know that we live in a time where some people think that political violence is a legitimate use of is a legitimate tool in service of political ends. I know that, and I know that mainly comes from the left. But what do we know about this guy? Well, only what we know. He was affiliated with some security company. He was affiliated with some, I guess, Christian mission work. I mean, there's this video of him providing a sermon in the Congo in 2021. Here was that.
And I'm just as excited about Jesus.
Et je suis juste excité
right
de
here,
Jésus.
right now.
Jusqu'à présent, même maintenant.
And when I get excited,
et quand je suis excité,
I want to dance.
Je veux danser.
And what Jesus did for me.
C'est que Jésus a fait pour moi.
Jesus is God.
Jésus est Dieu.
Almighty God.
C'est le Dieu puissant.
He saved my life.
Il a sauvé ma vie.
I'm excited about God.
Je suis excité de Dieu.
And I want to worship Him.
Et c'est pourquoi je l'adore.
Because He's coming again. And
Jésus, il revient encore.
And He's got plans. He's got plans
de plans
and purposes
et le dessein
for each one of you.
Pour chacun de vous ici.
And for me.
Et pour moi aussi.
You have a strange way of worshiping God.
He also worked part-time at a funeral home. He was a general manager once at a 7-Eleven.
So you have a lot of sort of details that may connect, that may not connect to fill in this picture. I don't know. Will we ever see the manifesto? I mean, yeah, I want to see it. I suspect that Kash Patel will, at some point, I mean, this is very early on, at some point provide that information, provide that transparency that we didn't get with the previous administration, the previous FBI directors. But I assume that we'll get more detail from federal law enforcement in this case than we did from federal law enforcement in previous cases under previous presidents. I certainly would hope so. That seems to be their disposition. The other thing, before reading too much into it, including that vote on that budget deal, the senator he shot and his wife, the senator voted against that budget deal.
Right, that's true.
Voted against the removing illegal immigrants from the Medicaid rolls in Minnesota. He voted against it. He got shot anyway. So did his wife. So, like I said, sort of making sweeping conclusions based on information that we don't have, and the information we do have seems to be in conflict in terms of trying to zero in on a political angle that explains why he went off the deep end and went on this killing spree, an attempted killing spree.
And you know who had dinner with them the night before was Senator Amy Klobuchar.
They had multiple gun wounds and were able to, the first responders were there, the police were there, got them to the hospital, and then had the presence of mind to go over to Leader Hortman's house, and that's where they found this perpetrator, this man who seemed to have no limits in terms of the murderous acts that he committed. I will say one more thing, and that is that at that dinner, it was a big political dinner. Everyone was rejoicing, happy, the session's behind them, and that was the last time so many of us saw Melissa and Mark. And the next morning, 5 a.m., the Governor Walz, calls me and tells me that we believe that she's no longer with us.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is this guy, the alleged shooter here, had an appointment to some workforce board, state workforce board. It's been misreported as having been a Walz appointee. He was actually an appointee of the previous governor, Mark Dayton. But even that, and so he may have had some interactions with that state senator. There's possibility that they may have had some interactions. They were at some of the same meetings or events, but it's, at least from what I've heard, it's uncertain that they had any personal interactions. So it doesn't, I haven't heard anything that provides any sort of explanation for why that senator, who is expected to survive, and his wife were targeted, in addition to the former House Speaker and her husband. But, even that, appointments to sort of low-level state boards, I mean, that's not necessarily something that rises really to the gubernatorial level. I mean, this guy was obviously somewhat active, but it could be 3 degrees of separation from even these state legislators when it comes to an appointment to a workforce development board. So I wouldn't read too much into that either. As I said, there's just, you see the chatter on social media, and some of it is wrong, and some of it is misguided, and some of it is without foundation. What you've just heard here is really what we know so far, and some of the questions that we all want answers to. And as is often the case here, patience is going to be required and is probably judicious, and hopefully we get more responsiveness from federal law enforcement under this president than we did the last.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
For centuries, gold and silver have protected wealth through war, recession, inflation, and economic upheaval. And today, as markets remain volatile and uncertainty grows, gold and silver continue to serve as an essential building block for modern retirement portfolios, offering both stability and long-term potential. At Advantage Gold, we specialize in helping you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical gold or silver, tax-free and penalty-free. When you call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000, you'll receive expert insights, real-time market analysis, and modern investment strategies. Everything you need to make informed decisions about your financial future. And right now, for a limited time, you could receive up to $10,000 in precious metals when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. So don't wait for the next market downturn. Take control of your retirement strategy today with the proven power of physical gold and silver. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Visit AdvantageGold.com or call 800-900-8000.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The basic duty of government is to maintain public order and safety while protecting the rights of its citizens. The government of Los Angeles and the state of California have failed miserably and repeatedly on both points. Mismanagement and dereliction of duty led to the destruction of the Palisades in Altadena in January. Actual malice today towards federal authority and law enforcement by LA's mayor and city council threatens to burn down the rest. When ICE began detaining criminal illegal aliens, Bass and her council roared in anger, inciting mobs to attack federal agents enforcing the law. This week, the council tried to order its police chief to expose these agents to further danger by revealing operations before they took place. When Chief Jim McDonnell warned that this would constitute a crime, the council's president scoffed, calling the arrests abductions. LA's leadership believes that they're above the law of the country in which they exist. They are radicals bent on national destruction, not responsible office holders interested in public order and safety. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So trying to understand somebody who would take to violence to advance their political views, as we were talking about with those assassinations in Minnesota, as we saw to some extent over the weekend with these quote-unquote No Kings rallies. I go back to this piece from 2018. We discussed it back then because it was so good, and we were right in the thick of cancel culture and the rise of the neo-Jacobins. And it has application today still, and it's not just for the young, as we see every day, frankly, from the left. It's a piece called Sad Radicals by a guy named Connor Barnes. When I became an anarchist, I was 18, depressed, anxious, and ready to save the world. I moved in with other anarchists and worked at a vegetarian co-op cafe. I protested against student tuition, prison privatization, and pipeline extensions. I had lawyers' numbers sharpied on my ankle, and I assisted friends who were pepper sprayed at demonstrations. I tabled zines, lived with my quote-unquote chosen family, and performed slam poems about the end of the world.
Slam poems.
While my radical community was deconstructing gender, monogamy, and mental health, we lived and breathed concepts and tools like call-outs, intersectionality, cultural appropriation, trigger warning, safe spaces, privilege theory, and rape culture. What did you see over the weekend? What did you see in places like Wilmette? You saw people dusting off their pea hats to rally against kings the same way they donned them to rally to defund the police, to impose reparations, to mandate masks, shots, school closures, green energy limits on household appliances, electric vehicles, abortions, abolish ICE, free Palestine, bang the drums of war with Russia, socialize college loan debt, ban guns and their manufacture, silence dissent, imprison Trump voters. The cause du jour. They're up for it. And I think that's what you're going to find to the extent you can make any sense of a philosophy, an attitude, a calling from that guy in Minnesota. Going back to Connor Barnes, what is a radical community? He defines it as a community that shares both an ideology of complete dissatisfaction with existing society due to its oppressive nature and a desire to radically alter or destroy that society because it cannot be redeemed by its own means. And that's what he was in business to do as an anarchist, living with his fellow anarchists, penning slam poems about the end of days. He's got some really good insights in this piece, Sad Radicals. I'll repost it because it, as I said, has relevance today. Commentators, he goes on to talk about the faith piece. Commentators have accurately noted how social justice seems to take a form of religion. This captures the meaning and fulfillment I found in protests and occupations. It also captures how outside of these harrowing festivals, everyday life in radical communities is mundane but pious. As a radical activist, much of my time was devoted to proselytizing. Non-anarchists were like pagans to be converted through zines and wheat-pasted posters rather than by the Bible and baptism. When non-radicals listened to my assertions that Nazis deserved death, that all life had devolved into spectacle, and that monogamy was a capitalist social construct, they were probably bewildered instead of enticed. Deep and sincere engagement with opposing points of view is out of the question. Radicalism is like a clan too suspicious of outsiders to abandon a cousin marriage, and like incestuous offspring, radicalism's intellectual offspring accumulate genetic load. Narrow theories must perform increasingly convoluted explanations of the world. When I became an anarchist, I was a depressed and anxious teenager in search of answers. Radicalism explained that these were not manageable issues with biological and lifestyle factors. They were the result of living in capitalist alienation. And by the way, I mean, these seniors populating the town squares in places like Wilmette,
Naperville, yeah.
They never grew out of this phase. That's all. And maybe some came late to the radicalization because they got addicted to MSNBC and some of these other propaganda outlets. There's an overdeveloped muscle in radicalism, Connor Barnes writes. It's critical reflex. It is able to find oppression behind any mundanity. Where does the term critical reflex come from? French philosopher Paul Ricoeur famously coined the term school of suspicion to describe Marx, Nietzsche, and Freud's drive to uncover repressed meaning in text and society. Today's radicals have inherited this drive the way Foucault and other Marxo-Nietzscheans did. As radicals, we live in what I call a paradigm of suspicion. One of the malignant ideas that emerged as a result of intellectual inbreeding, it's a great term he uses. We inherited familial neuroses and saw insidious oppression and exploitation in all social relationships, stifling our ability to relate to others or ourselves without cynicisms. Activists anxiously pore over interactions, looking for ways in which the mundane conceal domination. To see every interaction as containing hidden violence is to become a permanent victim, because if all you are is a nail, everything looks like a hammer. The paradigm of suspicion leaves the radical exhausted and misanthropic. And, he goes on to talk a little bit more about it and how eschewing accountability is key and so on and so forth, but leaves the radical exhausted, alienated, misanthropic. Well, then from there, depending on the crew you're running with, it's just a half a step to violence, isn't it? And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing play out in the direction of Trump, in the direction of Trump voters, in the direction of Musk, in the direction of Tesla owners, in the direction of state legislators in Minnesota. Coming up at 6:06, we'll talk about those No Kings rallies around the country.
It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It was the biggest manhunt in Minnesota ever. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
There's 20 different SWAT teams over an extremely large area, hunting this individual down to take him into custody.
Brooklyn Park, Minnesota Police Chief Mark Bruley, after they found Vance Belter, the suspected gunman in the murder of state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark.
They were both allegedly shot and killed right here. And after the shooting, this is where the manhunt began. The shooter fled on foot from this location.
Fox's Matt Finn outside the Hortman's home.
He was caught last night crawling in a field near his home in Green Isle, Minnesota, southwest of Minneapolis.
Vance Belter charged with murder and attempted murder, also accused of shooting and badly wounding State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Governor Tim Walz urging people not to resort to violence in their politics.
Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it.
Iran keeps firing back at Israel, and some missiles are getting through the Iron Dome defense, killing at least 5 Israelis, wounding more, while Israel keeps attacking Iran.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Operation Rising Lion will remove an existential threat to Israel, namely Iran's alleged ambition to develop a nuclear weapon. The Israeli military has targeted at least 15 locations. They include the main nuclear enrichment facility, a research center, as well as air defenses and military bases.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump says the U.S. is not involved in the conflict, but could be, and he hopes still for negotiations.
I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens, but sometimes they have to fight it out.
The president before going to Canada for a summit of G7 countries.
The president is sure to discuss Mideast peace at a mountain lodge setting in Kananaskis. White House officials say the U.S. agenda also includes trade and energy deals, critical minerals, migration, and AI.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern in Calgary. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 64 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. People throughout the country are voicing their opposition to the Trump administration. Thousands took to the streets on Saturday in Chicago and surrounding suburbs as part of No King's Day. The demonstrations were held on the same day as President Trump's military parade and birthday celebration in Washington, D.C. Organizers believe the downtown protest to be one of the largest in the country, with an estimated 15,000 people in attendance. Police say one person was arrested. An investigation is underway after a threatening anti-Semitic letter was sent to a home in Highland Park. Police say that officers arrived at a home last night in the 900 block of Marion Avenue after residents reported receiving a threatening letter containing anti-Semitic comments in their mailbox. Highland Park police immediately notified the FBI and the State Terrorism and Intelligence Center. The preliminary investigation indicated that the letter was sent through the U.S. Postal Service. The letter was also tested for hazardous material and deemed to be non-toxic. News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, in celebration of Father's Day, Synergen X and Low T Center are offering free tests and weight loss consultations for a limited time. Book your free consultation and T-test from now until June 21st and get a free B12 shot as an extra boost of energy. Give dad or yourself the gift of a new start this Father's Day. Book now at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk believes ignorance is part of the problem.
He yelled, "Free Palestine." This is a pattern, and it's only continuing. What is driving this? Well, first of all, and this just needs to be said, the misunderstanding of what is actually happening between Israel and Hamas drives people to do insane stuff.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hey, Amy Jacobson here, and OMG, I was absolutely speechless when I saw my new garage floor. Level 10 Coatings did such an amazing job, and now my garage floor shines. Level 10 Coatings specializes in expert garage floor coatings for both residential and commercial spaces. Their floors are durable, easy to maintain, and best of all, done in just one day. Hey, if you've been thinking about upgrading your garage floor with that shiny new showroom look, please call my good friends at Level 10 Coatings at 855-510-2628 or book your free consultation online at level10coatings.com. And here's a bonus. Mention me, Amy Jacobson, and you'll get $500 off your project. Call 855-510-2628 or visit level10coatings.com today, or call 855-510-2628.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 12 minutes. Outbound, about 19 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 14 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne interchange, about 14 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins, currently buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare, date, proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Intervals of clouds and sun, a warm day. High today up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Hot day tomorrow. Periods of clouds and sun. Thunderstorm forward the afternoon. High tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President Trump very happy with the No Kings rallies over the weekend, posting on Truth Social. A huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your tireless efforts, I'm still your president. Great job, all. All right, so Trump's
the ultimate troller. That is awesome.
Still president, and we still don't have a king.
Yeah.
But do we? Don't we have a bunch of kings, really?
Or have we been living 4 years under it with the Biden administration?
Well, we have a bunch of kings at every level, really. What does a king do? Governs by whim.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on the very same line.
I was thinking about that whole riff about kings, and it reminded me of this great exchange. Season 2 of Fargo. The Coen brothers, the adaptation of the Coen brothers movie to a series. Season 2 of Fargo, where Mike Milligan comes in from Kansas City to take out the Gerhardt family and take control of criminal activity in Fargo. And after he's wiped out most of the Gerhardts, this was this episode 2? I can't remember. Anyway, season 2. Mike Milligan, who was played brilliantly by Bokeem Woodbine, is the actor's name you may remember. Anyway, he's cleaning up. He's about to take the throne, if you will, the reign of Mike Milligan. I think that was actually the title of that episode. And, as he's tying up loose ends, he runs into Ricky from Buffalo trying to steal some stuff from the house and make his way out of town, and then they have this exchange.
Sovereignty is absolute power and authority.
Like a king?
Exactly. Which is who I am. Your king.
It's America, brother. We don't do kings.
Oh, we do. We do. Just call them something else.
We do kings here. We just call them something else. We call them mayor, governor, senator, congressman, president. Don't we? Governing by whim, what kings do. The ironic thing, of course, is that that is mainly a feature of the left because they are sentimentalists. They are moved by feeling, not thinking, and thus governed by the whims of their feelings, or at least attempt to. Perhaps the most regal exchange of the last several days had nothing to do with President Trump, and had everything to do with what's going on in L.A. Imelda Padilla is a Los Angeles City Council human. She had this exchange with Jim McDonnell, who's the police chief in L.A., over ICE operations in L.A., of course, the basis for the rioting and the violence.
Can we use technology like AI technology to create a situation where your department can identify, hey, there's agents, non-city of LA, in a neighboring town. Everyone go on alert in a way where you can support our business community and our immigrant community to know that it's time. That's something related to the lack of due process, the lack of warrants is about to hit our town. I'm asking a creativity question here. What can your department do to do more to warn us, to warn the business community that outside of our LA borders, coming in from Inglewood, coming in from Antelope Valley, I don't know, you can warn us so that we can warn our folks in the spirit of your loyalty to the city of Los Angeles?
So you're asking me to warn you about an enforcement action being taken by another agency before it happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Why not?
That would be obstruction of justice. You may want to talk to the city attorney about that.
Queen Imelda Padilla of the LA City Council, governing by whim. And we want you to obstruct justice because we don't like the law or we don't like what the federal law enforcement is doing. Can you obstruct justice for us? No, well, why not? I'm your queen. Isn't that what we've seen? What we see routinely? We talk about it in Illinois. The imperiousness of a J.B. Pritzker, or the recently convicted, soon to be in prison, former House Speaker. We don't do kings in this country. We just call them something else. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And those rallying against kings, throwing temper tantrums, pretending that they are striking a blow against the installation of a Trumpian monarchy. Of course, they are the loyal subjects of those who govern by whim, because they're all wrapped in emotion, too. Temper tantrums in the public square like we saw over the weekend. And violence, too. One dead in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm. Not shot by police, but shot by another group.
Beverly Hills. Somebody set up a little booth with a Trump doll, like a Barbie-sized Trump doll, you know, a Trump anxiety doll. And for 5 cents, you can basically beat this doll on the shelf on the booth.
Oh,
To get your angst and aggression out, to show that you're not
Doing
going to be
something.
lorded over by King Trump.
We were just talking about this morning. No! Don't! Bad boy! Bad!
An old man taking a Barbie-sized Trump doll and beating it against a piece of wood, yelling, "Bad boy." Sad radicals.
Very sad. There was tens of thousands downtown in Chicago. My cop friend said, I said, well, who was there? And he said, well, people fighting for reproductive rights, LGBTQ+, because don't forget it's Gay Pride Month. He said the anti-ICE people, obviously, BLM, a few of them, and then the Free Palestine group, too.
Yeah,
So it's just a hodgepodge of...
In other words, it was...
It's a hot mess, is what that was.
No, in other words, it was a collection of sad radicals.
Okay.
Chicago Contrarian, CPD sources said no more than 15,000 downtown. Then that's a lot, but...
And they said it wasn't violent,
not-
but there was one restaurant that got looted, and people, business owners on Michigan Avenue and some on State Street and Oak Street, boarded up their businesses because
So-
they were fearful. Well, that costs money.
That's what you have to do if you own a business in Chicago. This just did.
Welcome to your new world.
Sad radicals like Sarah from Philadelphia, an old lady.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything, and I just am so scared and upset, and I don't understand why people voted for this person.
Sad radicals like those in L.A. that were starting to rile up the mounted police, and then it was time for this dink named Jacob Soboroff, who's an MSNBC reporter, to hightail it.
Wrong!
Whoa.
We have the freedom of speech!
Go. You have to be careful, okay? You take care of yourself. So you can see, whoa, they're messing with the horses. Guys, let's go. Let's back up here. Obviously, people are unhappy, Ari. People don't want to see horses tramp.
Sad radicals.
And all this to protest the parade that was a beautiful, I don't know if you saw it, I actually sat down and watched the Army's 250th anniversary parade. And it was just the history of the Army, and they would, had period pieces where they would put, this is what they wore, this is, their weaponry that they used during this conflict, and it went on for 250 years. It wasn't, and I was wrong because I thought, oh gosh, please don't do that. You're just going to give the Democrats material for campaigns in the future. It wasn't, we weren't displaying weaponry and rockets like the dictator in North Korea or anything like that. It was a beautiful celebration.
Well, it's a good
I loved it.
juxtaposition. Don't fall into the trap of worrying about crowd sizes and this sort of thing. There's you're going to generate more crowds over grievances than you are celebrations, unless it's some sort of sports championship. So grievances is what drives turnout, give people meaning. Celebrating something like the armed services and the greatness of this country in which we live, that's mundane. But what really is mundane is these antics from the No Kings folk. It's just mundane. It's so played out. I mean, there's nothing new here. The mundanity that Connor Barnes talked about in his Sad Radicals piece that I referenced. The mundanity of it all. I mean, this is 2017. Remember 2017? Nasty women, all decked out in their pea hats. Ashley Judd talking about her messy lady parts.
I'm nasty! Like my blood stains on my bed sheets, we don't actually choose if and when to have our periods. Believe me, if we could, some of us would. We don't like throwing away our favorite pairs of underpants. Tell me, why are pads and Tampax still taxed? Ooh, that was a brand name. Why are tampons and pads still taxed when Viagra and Rogaine are not. Is your erection really more than protecting the sacred, messy part of my womanhood?
Yeah, well, that's the age-old question. Is my erection more important than protecting the messy part of Ashley Judd's womanhood?
Well, and now
scholars debate.
And now tampons are everywhere. Tampons are free, Ashley Judd, and they are in boys' bathrooms in the state of Illinois.
Ashley Judd.
Clogging up toilets, by the way.
The same people that you heard screeching for Ashley Judd were on the streets in Philadelphia and Chicago and L.A. yesterday. Portland, Seattle. It's the same old. Madonna from 2017. There's nothing new.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
So they were advocating violence then. They're advocating and committing violence now, advocating and committing violence over this entire time period. I mean, we just marked the anniversary of the attempted assassination attempt at the congressional softball game where Steve Scalise was almost killed, as were others. But he was seriously injured, of course. So this is nothing new. Sad radicals. And I don't care if they're in Naperville or downtown Chicago. It's the same crew running the same racket. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, Dan. Do you know if Burger King ran any specials during the celebrations?
Hi-yo.
Well, and then you have that state rep in North Carolina who put the social media post at the No Kings rally with the beheading of Trump. There was one head on each side of the stick.
Trump and Musk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean, come on. And then do you wonder why there's violence?
So this is Kathy Griffin Redux.
Yeah. That's where she got the idea from,
Nothing.
I'm sure. And then she deleted her account afterwards.
They are one-trick ponies, these sad radicals. And some grow up like Connor Barnes. And many do not. And you saw them in the town squares in the wealthy suburbs around Chicago yesterday.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Where have you been lately?
I signed up for an annual gold membership at Fox Valley Shooting Range. You get unlimited range time 7 days a week, access to members-only reservations, free gun rentals, discounts in the store.
Is it expensive?
No, it ends up being only $45 for the whole month.
Oh, wow. I'm a little rusty. Do they do trainings?
Oh, yeah. I've taken some private lessons and some advanced classes, but they offer a bunch of intro courses, too, and concealed carry classes. Plus, it's huge. They have 14 lanes at 25 yards and a massive retail store. It's a nice setup, and I've met some really good people.
Learn more at foxvalleysr.com. Again, that's Fox Valley, S as in shooting, R as in range.com. Or call 630-357-3570. That's 630-357-3570. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Fox Valley Shooting Range, a state-of-the-art shooting experience.
Hi, it's Scott Tucker, host of Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker, heard on AM 560 on Sundays at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. I want to offer you a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? To get your free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Just go to retirementdakota.com. That's retirementdakota.com. And please listen every Sunday at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
All right, I love it. My new Goldilocks security system. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control. And it isn't it's when somebody may decide to get into your house. There's no warning. We know that criminals are looking for unsecured homes, and that's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. Goldilocks state-of-the-art smart home security systems doesn't just record crime, it prevents it. With Goldilocks real-time monitoring, the police are notified immediately, and every second counts if someone breaks into your home. Goldilocks has given my family much-needed peace of mind. They also offer commercial security systems for any size business. Goldilocks has hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and has served Chicagoland since 1981. Recently, I had a question about my doorbell. I called them up. They responded right away. And voila, everything is fine. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call them today, 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Again, 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist, and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day, and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck, and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Another inspiring, uplifting event happened over the weekend, in addition to the 250th anniversary of the Army. By the way, good piece over the weekend by James Freeman in the Wall Street Journal. It all started with a really good hire. His name was George Washington, speaking of the armed forces. But the other inspiring thing, 15,000 sad radicals throwing temper tantrums in the Loop. Yeah, well, there were 30,000 at Comiskey Park that were
praying,
attending the telecast of Pope Leo's remarks to Chicagoland, and singing in unison. So on the one hand, as I said, another nice juxtaposition. So on the one hand, you had the anger and the grievance mongering, and were focused on those people marching in the streets. And then on the other hand, you had many more people at Comiskey that were in fellowship with one another, singing, "Holy God, we praise thy name." So they're out there. They're just not as boisterous and demonstrative.
Better use of their time.
Yeah. So just remember the scenes from Comiskey when you're force-fed all the scenes from Naperville or Wilmette or downtown Chicago.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
6:36, he was there last week when Governor Spalding and his fellow governors from New York and Minnesota testified before the House Oversight Committee on their collective sanctuary policies. Joe Abraham, father of Katie Abraham, was there for that, and he joins us at 6:36 to offer some commentary on what Pritzker testified to then and what he has done and continues to do in the state now. That's at 6:36.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. And here is Nikki Whaley. Good morning.
Good morning. It's 64 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is not backing down from ICE raids that have spiked over a week of protests in Los Angeles.
On Sunday, Trump announced he is directing his administration to use every resource possible on mass deportation efforts. He mentioned increasing enforcement actions in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and other cities he considers the core of the Democrat power center. Trump made the announcement a day after No Kings protests against his policies were held in major cities across the U.S. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Officials in Minnesota are providing more details on the arrest of a suspect in the killing of a Minnesota state lawmaker. Vance Bolter was captured alive near Green Owl after being spotted on a trail earlier Sunday by a camera. Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Burley told reporters that the chase to capture Bolter was the largest manhunt in the state of history and included hundreds of detectives and 20 different SWAT teams. Bolter is accused of killing state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband. He's also accused of shooting and injuring Democratic Senator John Hoffman and his wife. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Planning a wedding is a monumental task. After months and months of preparation, on your wedding day, you have a lot to think about. The flowers, the catering, the bridal party, the DJ, the seating chart. It can be overwhelming, and no one wants all of that stress to take away from the joy of the moment. That's why you need a wedding photographer you can trust to capture those important moments so that no matter what happens on your wedding day, you'll have those memories to enjoy for years to come. For over 30 years, brides and their families have trusted Tom Kaloran Photography with their wedding days. This locally owned family business will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit TomKaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography. Capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding Plus to their names. It's fairly obvious they were inspired by Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free, plus unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic, plus free next-day delivery, plus 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or NewNordicUSA.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 17 minutes. Outbound, about 25 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the post office, about 20 minutes. Outbound is about 18 minutes. That's due to a crash. Left lane is blocked. That's going to be right around Austin Boulevard. You're going to be slowed back to Laramie. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
A warm day today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. Our high 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Periods of clouds and sun. A hot day tomorrow. Thunderstorm for the afternoon. A high tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we discussed in great detail the testimony of one Governor Pritzker last week before the House Oversight Committee. His big star turn, along with his colleagues Walz from Minnesota and Hochul from New York, attempting to defend their sanctuary state policies and what they're inviting and financing people to live in the state who are in this country legally has wrought on the state of Illinois. My favorite exchange was the one between Brandon Gill, our friend, congressman from Texas, and Pritzker about abolishing ICE. Do you support abolishing ICE? No, of course not, because J.B. Pritzker's a reasonable person. But there's what you say, and then there's what you do.
Do you support abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You don't. In fact, you believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the Organized Communities Against Deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying abolish ICE. Do you support this?
I do not.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
Force.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
That's all you can say. You can just repeat it because you're caught. The budget's a moral document. I'm very proud of these phony budgets that I have authored because he talked about how proud he is. Mischaracterizing them as balanced. They're not balanced. We haven't had a balanced budget in 3 decades because neither party accounts for unfunded liabilities. So it's a phony document, phony budgets. But what you say is you're opposed to abolishing ICE. We need an immigration force. What you say is that I'm on top of my budget, and my budget is a moral document that reflects my spending priorities. And what you do is fund organizations that promote abolishing ICE and general lawlessness. I oppose abolishing ICE. I oppose abolishing ICE. Well, you can say it, and then we watch what you do, Governor. And those are the moments that really should drive home the hypocrisy, the dangerous hypocrisy of politicians like J.B. Pritzker. He is not reasonable. He presents as such because he's rarely challenged on his hypocrisy like he was in D.C. So it sounds like, he's not one of those crazies calling for open borders and the abolition of ICE, the defunding of police. Yeah, he is. You know how you know? Watch how he spends other people's money. What more evidence do you need than that? What better evidence is there than that? How about it? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Joe Abraham, who was there for that testimony. Joe is the father of Katie Abraham, who was killed, as was a friend of hers, in Champaign earlier this year by a person in this country illegally. Joe, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
We talked a little bit about your perspective because you were on Laura Ingraham's show last week, and I thought you made a good point about the way that these politicians, starting with Pritzker, talk about the sanctuary state jurisdictions that making their state sanctuary and not working with federal law enforcement to remove people from in this country illegally. You talked about it's all on the back end as opposed to the front end. Explain what you meant.
So my point there was, everyone seems to have this false choice. You're either for a Wild West, total unaudited immigration, or you're some kind of like anti-immigrant, anti-race, or just a racist or whatever it is. And that's absolutely a false choice as far as I'm concerned. If you want, or if the last administration wanted 3 million migrants every year, set up a process. Don't give me this a law, or I need a whole comprehensive. That's all fake out. Set up a process, no matter what you have on the front end, to at least audit some of these folks, versus the back end for people like me now that need to suffer through this. I mean, this has been 6 months, and it's not getting any better. So that was my only point. Set up a process. Get the right people in here. Like the guy who killed Katie came in here under an alias. The feds knew that. U.S. Marshals knew who he really was, not who he said he was. And that could have been adjudicated in the front end, not now in the back end where the carnage has already happened, right? So there's a choice here. I mean, for goodness sakes, man, we have created a multi-billion-dollar industry for the cartels moving people around, and we're okay with that. It's really weird, and it's really weird that we don't have enough gang problems now, that we need to bring in more gang problems. So that was my point, Dan, really, in saying that.
That's a good one. It's a good one. Have you ever spoken with J.B. Pritzker? Has he ever reached out to you?
So, actually, when I was at the committee hearing, they sort of asked, like, should we ask him? And I said no, because, it's been 6 months. I don't want he's coerced into doing that. I don't want to do that. He clearly my case for Katie, no one really cares. I mean, I think some of the folks I spoke to in Washington seem to care a lot, which is great. But, in that case, he had 6 months to just say, hey, sorry, we're trying to work this thing out, or we're trying to figure things out. But I got to be honest with you, the contradictions that I was hearing for 8 hours is an 8-hour hearing. It's sort of amazing, like how quickly you can speak out of one side and then speak out of the other. It was like, for example, no one could define or make a distinction between legal immigration and illegal immigration. They're all just good migrants, right? There was no distinction. And at one point, I think it was JV at one point said that the migrants are more, and remember, migrants meaning illegal or legal, are more deserving. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember his exact words. This is more directional. But he was basically said that they are more deserving or sort of better folks than the actual citizens. It was something along those lines, which really kind of was offensive. But okay, if that's what you believe, that's fine. Everyone should believe. I'm not going to ding them on that. But here's the thing too: is that the other thing they were talking a lot about is and Chairman Comer was, and Chairman Comer was great, and the American Borders story was really, really helpful. But he was trying to say, should he be in there? And all they could say is, if there's a crime that happens, they will have due process and they will be adjudicated, right? And they will serve whatever they have to do. And that was the other point with the front end, back end is that, well, wait a minute, this isn't going to help us with Katie's gone. Like they keep saying, you're disappearing migrants. You're taking them. You're snatching them away, and you're separating their families. And no one can make the connection to say, hey, look at Joe in this one particular case. His daughter was not only disappeared, snatched, and taken, but now we're separated. But here's the hook: forever, I will never see my little girl again, ever. These folks will see. Do you think the guy who killed Katie will see the light of day again? Freedom? I think he absolutely will. Is that justice? I don't know. You tell me.
Pritzker said during when Katie's story was brought up during that hearing, and he expressed his sympathy for the family. I'm sure you were there to hear that. How did you react to that? Especially since, as you said, he hasn't deigned to reach out since she was killed. Yeah,
I mean, to me, that was just coerced. That's all it was. I mean, there's no real, I'm an inconvenience, I'm collateral damage. Just deal with the fact that you lost your daughter. We're heading toward a greater good, which I'm not real sure what the greater good is, but we're heading toward a greater good. Just kind of, pipe down. You don't need to say much. And I really haven't, Dan, honestly. But sitting in that committee hearing, I didn't feel like there was any sincerity anywhere with anybody.
Well, and how are you processing the fact that we are letting in tens of thousands of illegal aliens that have not been vetted? What do you think the purpose is?
I don't know, because I'll be honest with you. On one hand, the governors were saying, this is ridiculous, feds. Do your job. They would sit there and yell at them, get me. What you're doing is putting all this stress on my state. And at the other time, they're saying, we're going to take care of every resident. And the connection is lost in the fact that you're out there screaming to the world, like, we will not work with the feds. We will not. You are sanctuary. You're fine here. Don't just come here. And then they swarmed the board. One of the Texas congressmen said that. Do you understand the carnage you have as people are trying to go from Texas to Illinois because they know they're going to be safe in Illinois? So you are actually helping this process that you're complaining about. It's really weird, the contradictions all hearing along. So it's amazing to me. Like, you can't unless they do make the connection and not caring.
So, I mean, when we spoke with you before, we talked a little bit about sort of your professional background and your political engagement, and you're not a political guy, but of course, over the last 6 months, you've perhaps had your eyes opened a little bit about just how our politics works here, at least in Illinois, and I just wonder what your takeaways are from what you knew then versus what you know now.
Yeah, you're right about that, Dan. Look, I've kind of got my head down. I'm trying to raise a family, right? A family that has one less member now. I don't know why I have one less member, but I have one less. Because they told me we're safer. We are a better place. We're safer to have anybody in the place. So that's another thing. But, the eyes are open here to say there has to be this, not this, maybe a lot of it is money, but you got to have this process here. You just can't. I'm not sure what to do at this point, but it cannot just be unfettered, and the choice can't be unfettered and nothing, right? That's not how it works. We just want reasonable. We're an immigrant family. We want a reasonable, legal immigrant, a reasonable policy and process that allows the right people in, and not just because you'll hear Dan and Amy, you'll hear people say, "Well, would you feel better if a white guy did it?" Or citizens do they do DUI and kill people too. And my point is, okay, so if a citizen does it, we should bring in more to do it. I'm not sure what the connection there is. And no, I wouldn't be happy if a white guy did it, but I can't help citizens doing it, right? It doesn't mean we got to bring in more folks that do it, right? We don't even know who's here, it seems like to me. So that's my only thing. I'm not against this stuff. I just want a reasonable thing, not this.
Right.
What we have. Yeah.
And what about like your friends and your friend and familial circles? Have you seen scales fall from eyes in those cohorts around where you live, and friends and family like they have for you, and just in terms of understanding what exactly is going on or not going on in Illinois?
I don't particularly see it around where I'm at. I mean, I think my family is suffering, so they might have a different perspective now, right? But I think people just, it's so divided, this thing. And it seems to me it's very easy to come together on this topic, on this issue. I don't think it's that complex. I think it's you set up a process and get vet people properly. That's it. That's all we're asking. Again, you got billion-dollar industries for the cartel now. Are they getting royalties on this or something? I don't understand. But, yeah,
follow the money.
Yeah,
now
that's all it is.
Has MSNBC or CNN reached out to you for interviews?
No one. I mean, no.
And that speaks volumes, don't you think?
I suspect my story isn't a popular one, I'm guessing. And I don't know why.
In certain circles, right? And and I know you connected with other Angel moms and dads. Just not on a policy level, just on a personal level. Has that been helpful in terms of you, coping with Katie's death?
Yeah, and Dan, Amy, I'm gonna be honest with you. There isn't. I'm only 6 months in, so I guess it's still kind of raw. Nothing's really helping, and nothing's really going. I just don't know if it's going to matter. The scars will always be there. The pain's just, I hope, subsides a little bit.
Joe Abraham, father of Katie Abraham. Joe, thank you as always for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services in Rolling Meadows. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process, payment terms, and dedication towards excellence. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Monarch Technical offers unique payment terms. You now have 6 months to pay the finder's fee, and if for any reason the candidate leaves your employment, the fee ends. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid in full. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent and attractive payment terms, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221 or visit them online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com. Continuing the privilege of enriching manufacturing for 38 years. Reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could save using one source for cameras, keycard access, fire, and intrusion systems. ADS offers expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians, 24/7 professional monitoring, same-day or next-day service upon request because downtime isn't an option, dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms. More than 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. They combine human monitoring with the latest AI camera technology to prevent crime in real time. ADS is trusted by small and large businesses, including many Chicagoland schools. Their security experts will review your system for free if you go to adsalarm.com and schedule your appointment today. That's adsalarm.com. Alarm detection systems, the first choice of Chicagoland businesses, including right here, AM 560 The Answer, and Salem Media Chicago. Alarm detection systems, that website again, adsalarm.com. Alarm license 127000143.
The national debt is soaring and the dollar is weakening. Rising deficits, inflation, and market instability are creating a perfect storm of economic uncertainty. Public figures that were once allies are clashing in the headlines, leaving Americans everywhere asking what's next. In unpredictable times, more people are turning to physical gold and silver as a way to safeguard their savings in retirement. At Advantage Gold, we help you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical precious metals, tax-free and penalty-free. It's a simple, secure, and proven method to preserving your capital. When you call 800-900-8000, you'll receive a free gold guide packed with real-world strategies to help protect your investment. Plus, for a limited time, you could receive up to $10,000 in precious metals when you open up your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. So don't wait for the next crash or crisis. Take control of your financial future today with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 or visit AdvantageGold.com. That's 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
Charlie, is there something better we can do with all these pallets, OCC, and shrink wrap? It just keeps building up.
Well, we have a trash company that's supposed to haul it away. I guess they're not keeping up.
Well, maybe we should shop around. All this paper, plastic, metal, this can all be recycled. We spend way too many hours just moving it around.
Actually, my buddy's company uses Combined Resources in Addison. They pick up recyclables all over Chicago and safely dispose of it. They have this huge recycling center. Apparently, it saves them a lot in waste expenses, too.
Well, let's give Combined Resources a call.
Since 1980,
1986, Combined Resources Inc. has been your one-stop shop recycling and sustainability partner. CRI's programs reduce labor and hauling costs, boost rebate returns, and help your company go green. If your company has paper, cardboard, plastic, pallets, and metal that you want cleared and recycled, CRI will take care of it all and help you meet sustainability goals. Call 877-CRI-PLAS and learn how CRI supports smarter recycling at combinedresources.us. Combined Resources Inc., turning waste into worth, one resource at a time.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That was quite a statement Joe Abraham made about the people around him, like on the North Shore. He's in Glenview. Not really moved by his daughter's killing at the hands of a person in this country illegally. Could you imagine saying that to somebody? That would it have mattered if your killer's daughter was a different race? Could you imagine had that being your response to a friend or even just a neighbor's news that his daughter had been killed?
Sickening.
Yeah, well, that's the sickness of the left. That's the sickness of communities like Glenview and Northbrook and the North Shore. There's a real mental illness there. And it should be addressed because I don't think that a majority of residents there or people in the state actually think that way. But I think that they have their heads down. They're afraid. They don't want to deal with it. Well,
and when local media covered the story, just toward the tail end, if they even mentioned it at all, was that he was here illegally. He used several different aliases. He was on the run. I mean,
it's a sickness.
So, and my heart just aches for him and his family.
Lake County State's Attorney Eck Reinhardt. He had a statement he made in advance of the No Kings protests this weekend.
God. Please.
Dedicated to serving all residents of Lake County and upholding justice for every victim, regardless of immigration status, with a trauma-informed approach built on the principles of trust and safety. Is this guy a social worker or a state's attorney? I'm a little unclear. It's imperative that victims and witnesses feel safe to report crimes so that perpetrators don't go unpunished, says the guy who supported the Safety Act, that literally lets perpetrators go unpunished. We won't have safe and healthy communities if people are afraid to contact the police or cooperate with the prosecutor's office. But we will have them if we support open borders, invite people from wherever to come to this state and live here, reside here, regardless of their intentions, unaudited or unvetted, as Joe Abraham said. And then we release people who commit crimes, and we run domestically as well as those we invited, and we run interference at the local level for the criminal element and in opposition to federal law enforcement. That's the program to create safe and healthy communities on the North Shore, in Lake County, in Illinois. That's the offer. That's the argument. Wow. Boy, if there was a more unified and consistent counter-argument, I think that people like Reinhardt and Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon and the entire power structure would be in for a rude awakening. I really think they are wildly overplaying their hand if we can just get people who know better to say so. And that's still the missing piece here, isn't it? And unfortunately, it seems to take the horrors of these policies being visited upon you or someone you know, generally speaking, in Illinois, for people to get motivated. Boy. Nope. My daughter's killing at the hands of a person in this country illegally, residing in Illinois, driving drunk. Nope. That didn't change the attitudes of my neighbors.
A preventable crime. And, gosh, I mean, you look at Now it's not 1,048 preventable crimes that were committed by people here illegally.
And these are the same people who parade around as empathetic, pathologically so, parade around as compassionate.
Oh, yeah.
And have all the signs that detail their empathy and compassion. It's really something to behold, and it's something to stop tolerating.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:07, we'll talk to Stephen Bucha, our weekly conversation, obviously, that will be dominated by the Israeli strikes against Iranian nuclear sites and Iran's retaliation and where things go from here. 7:07.
It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
At least 8 more deaths in Israel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After missiles Iran fired got through the Iron Dome defense,
destroying both apartment buildings and residential blocks. We got to one scene in the heart of Tel Aviv, just blocks away from the U.S. Embassy branch here, that was also damaged in that strike. And when we got there, first responders were rushing into the flames, trying to look for survivors in the rubble.
Fox's Trey Yingst also reports that Israel keeps hitting Iran,
taking out top intelligence officials from the Iranian regime, including the country's chief intelligence officer and his deputy. They also took out what they say are 1/3 of the ballistic missile launching positions.
Israel's also been doing a lot of damage to Iran's nuclear infrastructure, and Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from the White House.
Fox can confirm President Trump recently vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. Our Brett Baer asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if a regime change is part of Israel's strategy in attacking Iran. He said it could be the result, and Israel is doing what it has to do because Iran has enough enriched uranium to make 9 bombs.
There are also more deaths in Gaza, where Israel's been waging war against Hamas. Palestinian officials say shots were fired again near food distribution sites for civilians, killing at least 38 people. The Middle East conflict will be a topic for President Trump and other world leaders to discuss in Canada now at a G7 summit. Talking to reporters before going, the president again defended his handling of the protests in L.A.
If we didn't have the National Guard on call and ready, they would rip Los Angeles apart.
The president in Truth Social post last night called for expanded illegal immigration raids in cities like L.A., Chicago, and New York. A manhunt ended in Minnesota last night for the man accused of murdering a state lawmaker and her husband and wounding a state senator and his wife. Vance Belter found hiding in a field. Governor Tim Walz says violence has no place in politics.
Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Steve Carell is sharing advice to Northwestern University's class of 2025. The actor and comedian discussed kindness while delivering the commencement address yesterday at the United Center.
Something that is important to me and something that I believe we need more of in the world. My topic this morning is kindness. So please just shut up and listen.
Carell encouraged the graduates to donate time and money to worthy causes. He also led them in a surprise dance break. Carell received an honorary degree of Doctor of Arts from Northwestern, where his daughter graduated and his son is now a student. A new study is suggesting adding more fruits and vegetables to your diet to get quality sleep.
Researchers from the University of Chicago and Columbia University found that eating more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains could help you get better sleep. The study's co-authors said adjusting your diet could be a new and cost-friendly way to get better sleep. The study is one of the first to show what you eat during the day could change your sleep that same night. Researchers estimated that eating the recommended 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day could improve sleep by 16%. I'm Mark Mayfield.
News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, in celebration of Father's Day, Synergen X and Low T Center are offering free T-tests and weight loss consultations for a limited time only. Book your free consultation and T-test from now until June 21st and get your free B12 shot for an extra boost of energy. Give dad or yourself the gift of a new start this Father's Day. Book now at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is witnessing evil.
A guy from Egypt screaming Free Palestine named Mohammed
lighting Jews on fire in Boulder, Colorado, and CNN is upset at calling what appears to be an obvious terror attack a terror attack. My gosh, this is what we're up against. We're up against a brand of evil that we've never seen before.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So, if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Our goal is to provide patients with the strongest, most effective, and safest options in this exciting field of regenerative medicine.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
The idea that you can avoid a joint replacement is very exciting.
And that's from a surgeon who's done thousands of joint replacements, but who now believes there's a better way.
Regenerative medicine, as we understand it today, gives lasting pain relief, improved function without surgery, without drugs.
Under Dr. Scheinkup's leadership, QC Kinetics medical professionals treat patients every day with the most advanced protocols in natural biologics. Literally tens of thousands of people all over America.
I've been doing research on regenerative medicine for 2 decades. This is the future of medicine.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 17 minutes. Outbound, about 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 25 minutes. Outbound, about 50 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 27 minutes. Outbound, about 21 minutes. On the Stevenson, this is going to be inbound on the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 28 minutes. Outbound, 21 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 15 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FDP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check for your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Intervals of clouds and sun, a warm day. High today up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Hot day tomorrow. Periods of clouds and sun. Thunderstorm forward the afternoon. High tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Who was it that said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration? That was Thomas Edison. Israel's Mossad quietly laid the groundwork for the country's massive military campaign against Iran by building a secret explosive drone base near Tehran that destroyed a bevy of ballistic missile launchers, preventing Tehran from quickly retaliating against Israel. Mossad releasing footage early Friday of its drones conducting precision strikes on Iranian air defense systems and ballistic missile launchers at a military installation near Tehran. The stealth sabotage campaign reportedly took out Iran's air defenses and gave Israeli planes air supremacy and freedom of action to launch hundreds of strikes on Tehran's nuclear sites, its senior military commanders, and scientists, according to the Times of Israel. A third covert effort involved Mossad commandos deploying precision missiles near anti-aircraft sites in central Iran. Israeli spies also successfully surveilled senior Iranian military commanders, security officials, and scientists tied to its nuclear program, allowing Israeli defense forces to assassinate them en masse. First the pagers for the Hezbollah's terrorist leaders, and now this program for the Iranian mullahs and their functionaries. Bibi Netanyahu had this to say about the operation.
And I can tell you this, we have indications that senior leaders in Iran are already packing their bags. They sense what's coming. I'll tell you what would have come if we hadn't acted. We had information that this unscrupulous regime was planning to give the nuclear weapons that they would develop to their terrorist proxies. That's nuclear terrorism on steroids. That would threaten the entire world. This is what Israel is doing with the support, the clear support of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the American people, and many others in the world. So with God's help, and with the goodwill and resolution of all free societies, we shall win.
President Trump saying that the idea of cutting a deal with Iran or negotiating some kind of armistice between Iran and Israel is a bit more challenging right now, not just because of the strikes and Iran's attempted retaliation, 400 dead on the Iranian side, reportedly 13 dead on the Israeli side, but also because, this is what he said to Brett Baier, quote, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and we are hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We will see. There are several people in leadership that will not be coming back. Need a new negotiating team over there in Tehran. So the prospect of regime change, I mean, it's not for Israel to say or America to say, but Bibi, when he was on with Brett Baier, said, well, it's a possible outcome as there has been an opening provided, more or less, he so indicated.
Could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to have atomic bombs and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people will throw these theological thugs out. I mean, they murder them. They oppress them for 46 years. They've yearned for freedom. I mean, they shoot women because their hair is uncovered. They shoot students. They just suck the oxygen from this brave and gifted people, the Iranian people. And you know, the Persian people and the Jewish people have had an ancient friendship. Goes back to the times of Cyrus the Great. It could happen again. But again, the decision to act, to rise up at this time is the decision of the Iranian people. We decided to act because we saw enough uranium, enriched uranium, for 9 bombs. And all they had to do was weaponize them. We stopped that. We're attacking their nuclear sites. We attacked their chief nuclear scientists working. It's like Hitler's nuclear scientists. Would you leave them? Of course not. We attacked their top command. I can inform you, Brett, that moments ago, we also got the chief intelligence officer and his deputy in Tehran, because we're now over the skies of Tehran. Our pilots, our brave pilots, are over the skies of Tehran, and we're targeting military sites, nuclear sites. That's what we're doing to take out those 2 threats. Unlike the Iranians, who your reporter said correctly, they're targeting our civilians. Yeah. They're bombing our civilians. So that's the difference. They're a terrorist regime. We can't have Iran have nuclear weapons. And by the way, our intel shows that they intend to give these nuclear weapons to their Houthi proxies and others. And that's nuclear terrorism on a global scale. It threatens everyone. And the last thing is they have plans to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. Right now, 8,000 kilometers, very soon, just at a little distance, and they can reach the eastern seaboard of the United States. These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice, killed 241 of your Marines in Beirut, killed and injured thousands of American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, try to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C., chant death to America, burn the American flag. Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to your cities? Of course not.
For more on this, please be joined by Stephen Bucci for a weekly conversation. Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's not like we don't have a lot to talk about.
Correct.
Where to start?
Anything that Bibi said or Israel did that troubles you?
Absolutely not. This was an existential threat, clearly to Israel, and by the way, to a lot of other places, us, our allies in the area, and the Israelis waited as long as they could. It appears that they've cut the margin down so close. They were using the time, getting people in place, getting plans in place, gathering intel, but they waited, gave President Trump a chance to try and negotiate with these guys. The mullahs are not interested in really negotiating in anything akin to good faith. They're just, they're really good negotiators because they lie, they dissemble, they promise one thing so they can get another. They're really good at that, and everybody in the region knows that. It didn't seem like the Biden or the Obama administrations understood it, and they're kind of the same folks. Anyway, what the Israelis did was elegant. It was as precisely targeted as anything in warfare can ever be. And they took, they've really defanged Iran right now. Now, there's other people saying, but 9 missiles got through. This is a failure. Okay, if the goal is perfection, then yes, I guess that's a failure. Again, warfare is never about perfection. It's always about overwhelming your enemy, doing as much as you can. And I would remind everybody that every time the Iranians fire another missile, drone, whatever it is that they still might have towards Israel, there's a whole bunch of Israeli intel guys and gals sitting there taking in all the data, putting it into the target list, and within a couple hours after that site is active, it's gone. So, the Iranians could keep shooting if they want, and a few might get through, but every time they do it, they're having less and less capacity to defend themselves against anybody. And last point, the Israelis are not the only ones that have a hard time with the Iranians. We see the Jordanians joining in, the Saudis joining in. Almost every Sunni Muslim country in the Middle East sees Iran as a far bigger threat than Israel ever was to them. They recognize Israel just wants to do business. If you'd leave them alone and just cut contracts with them, let them build things, sell things back and forth, they wouldn't be bothering anybody. But if you're going to attack them, like Iran has done for a long, long time, it's bad things are going to happen.
Well, how should the United States balance support for Israel with avoiding direct military conflict with Iran?
Well, I think they've done a pretty masterful job of that. They have shown, the world knows the United States, with this president, is willing to support Israel. And if Israel is starting to get overwhelmed, we're going to step in and we're going to help them.
Well, Fox News, just on that score, Fox News reported over the weekend that American forces are assisting Israel in shooting down Iranian missiles.
Yeah, well, that was an already in place procedure and plan that we've used before. We didn't shut those down during this time. They continued to do what they were doing before. But there's no plan for American planes to start bombing Iran unless Iran does something that pushes President Trump's decision-making over the edge, or to send any troops to to go in and invade Iran, anything like that. We are nowhere near World War III, which is what everybody that doesn't want us to do anything keeps saying. This is not leading to World War III, and in fact, this is a massive step to drive back any possibility of World War III by eliminating the capacity of the player on the field, other than maybe Putin, who is most likely to start World War III.
Let's go through some. Let's go through some of those arguments that are being advanced. Those World War III arguments that are being advanced. One of them is that this will lead to the BRICS coming together and presenting a military axis that could challenge America and the West.
I think that's fantasy. Right now, Russia is a very large third world country that happens to have nuclear weapons. Their military, other than their nuclear capacity, is second rate to compliment. They're not very good, and they're just their personnel. They're crappy. They're not professional soldiers. Even their senior guys don't really know what they're doing. They can't do logistics. They can't support their own people. All they have is mass, which means a lot of targets. Now, you can't just pass them off. They have nuclear weapons. China has a massive military. It's getting better and better, but their self-press, is way ahead of where they really stand. And their economy is in the same boat. It's big, it can be powerful, but it's not omnipotent, and it is fragile as all get out. And now that we have a president who understands that sort of thing, they understand they're going to have to reel themselves in a bit, or it's going to be a problem. India doesn't want to fight anybody. They just want to do business. I mean, they do want to fight the Pakistanis, but that's different. They're not going after the rest of the world, and they're not worried about Israel doing anything. They're one of Israel's biggest partners. The other BRICS, they're there, but none of them are military powers. So even if you add all the BRICS together, they still couldn't beat us in a fight with the allies that we would have on our side.
But the more important point that you're making is that that is a very simplistic understanding of the relationship between those two countries. They all have their separate and unique interests, and the idea that they're going to come together to rally around Iran and expand the war between Israel and the West would be foolhardy for them. So why would they do that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the argument you always get. Oh, well, what if China and Russia get together? Well, they give each other support. They sell things to each other because they have trouble in some cases selling those products to other people. But it's not like they have common interests other than being a pain in the neck to us. And that's not enough interest to cause them to sync up their military plans together because they don't trust each other.
The another argument that's advanced is we've been hearing Iran is 8 months away, a year away, 5 years away from those nuclear ballistic missiles Netanyahu referenced. We've been hearing that for 30 years. And David Harsanyi addressed that, actually, our friend David Harsanyi. This idea that we've been hearing it for years, so you shouldn't believe this is like WMD redux is the argument being made. How do we know this is Iraq all over again? And Harsanyi writes that Talking Point only works on ignoramuses who've never heard of Stuxnet or the many other delays thrown at Iran's nuclear program by both the U.S. and Israel. What's your reaction to the back and forth on that topic?
I think, look, even the UN organizations have started to say, they are kind of breaking the rules that they agreed to. So the Iranians are trying like heck to get nuclear weapons the whole time, trying to keep it as under the table as they can. Say, no, it's just a peaceful plan. It's okay. Come on. What nation in the world that doesn't sell anything but oil and pistachio nuts needs intercontinental ballistic missiles. What are you using an intercontinental ballistic missile for, right? You can't deliver rugs with them. You can't deliver pistachios. You only deliver weapons. So to say that they don't have them, look, we know they're close because Israel acted. Israel could have acted 10 years ago if you're using this calculus. They waited until this past week to do it because in their calculation, now Iran was at that level of threat to them, time-wise, that they felt they had to act. They've got the best human intelligence collection capability in that region of anybody in the world, way better than ours. We have the best technical collection capabilities. Theirs is almost all human intelligence, and it's turned out to be pretty darned effective. So I would agree with Harsanyi. This is a real threat, was a real threat when Israel acted. It's way less of a threat today than it was less than a week ago.
Tucker Carlson has stirred the pot again on the topic among conservatives. He posted on X, the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran. On that list are Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, and Miriam Adelson. At some point, they will all have to answer for this, but you should know their names now.
I used to really like Tucker. I thought he was a great guy. He's very bright. But his trail that he's done in the last couple of years, this isolationist view that he's taken, for one thing, he offers absolutely no proof for any of his prognostications. It's just like, if you want to go to war, you're a bad guy. Okay, I'm not going to defend the names that he listed, but one, Israel hasn't asked us to directly attack Iran, to my knowledge. And President Trump is still saying, look, war's bad. Let's get past this and move on. But he is letting an ally determine their own national interests, having some input into it. But he's not trying to dictate to Israel what they have to do because they're not a client. They're an ally. Look, I don't want the United States to get in another war in the Middle East. 2 decades of it is enough. However, we can't just roll up the gangplanks and call it a day in that region. We have huge interest in that region. And so we've got to play some sort of positive role. And it's not always just to stand there and go, no, everybody calm down, be good, when we know at least one side is never going to be good because their core goal of everything they do, every bit of their security strategy is to destroy an ally and, oh, by the way, if possible, destroy us.
Well, and the other thing, too, is this guy, Daryl Cooper, who's supposed to be this sort of maverick historian. He has been platformed by Tucker, by Joe Rogan. He responded on X to the question, should the U.S. get involved in Israel's war against Iran? Daryl Cooper, this alleged rogue historian, and I do emphasize alleged, particularly with the historian part of it, he said, yes, we should commence airstrikes on Tel Aviv immediately. That's the sort of thing that may lead one to not take you seriously.
Yeah, that's a vacuous comment. I would guess if you dug into that man a little bit, you'd find some anti-Semitism comments popping up here and there. Because if that's the conclusion he's coming to, that this is all Israel's fault, this is like the 1619 Project. Man, everything that's ever been bad in the world, it's the Americans' fault. Even when they were just a colony, everything started with that Jamestown, which, by the way, was a failed colony. It wasn't like that's where our culture all came from. It's that level of historical analysis, sociological analysis, and policy analysis, and I'm not buying it. You know, look, I've got a PhD too. It doesn't make you any smarter to have that degree. It's what you do with it that matters. So there's a lot of historians and professors that put this stuff out who have never been anywhere, have never done anything, have never had any responsibility for what their decisions might do. So, you know, just listen to them. Some of them are smart, but boy, don't take them at face value. Dig in and find out what it really means. You hear a comment like that, you know the guy he's not credible.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks as always.
It's my pleasure, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yep, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll get an update on the situation in Minnesota after that state legislator and her husband were assassinated, and another legislator and his wife critically wounded. Both of them are expected to survive, thankfully. But anyway, John Hindraker from PowerlineBlog.com joins us to discuss those details and tackle other issues at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. needs to have Israel's back as conflicts with Iran continue.
Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Pence urged the U.S. to be ready to take decisive action.
At the end of the day, if Israel needs our help to ensure that the Iranian nuclear program is destroyed once and for all, the United States of America needs to be prepared to do it, because this is about protecting our most cherished ally.
His comments come as Israel and Iran exchanged deadly airstrikes for a third day. At least 10 people were killed after an unknown number of Iranian missiles broke through the Israeli air defense system. Iran claims nearly 80 people have been killed so far by Israeli attacks. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says Iran's nuclear program is being set back by the series of recent attacks. Here's Mark Mayfield.
While appearing on ABC's This Week, Ambassador Yechiel Leiter says that Israel will continue to do whatever it takes in order to stop Iran.
Yes, we've set them back dramatically, but not enough. And that's why this series of strikes is not going to end today or tomorrow.
The two countries say multiple people have been killed as a result of the multi-day conflict. Iran and the U.S. were scheduled to hold another round of nuclear talks in the country of Oman, but those talks have been canceled due to the conflict. I'm Mark Mayfield.
News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save 90% on average for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of the road's coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees the blame game again.
I mean, in California, every California crisis is blamed on Trump. The wildfires, Trump's fault. The empty, water reservoirs, Trump's fault. Budget deficit, his fault. And now the riots in L.A., his fault. What does Gavin Newsom take responsibility for?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for the Chicagoland Retirement Report. Danielle Martin here with financial advisor Scott Tucker, president of Scott Tucker Solutions. When we go through days or weeks of volatility in the markets, it's hard to know what to do. So, Scott, what can you tell us?
Danielle, I think when there's market volatility, it can freak some folks out. You can be fearful. You might make sudden decisions that may not be in your long-term benefit. A lot of folks race to look at what their 401k or their IRA balance is. And we want to caution folks to kind of slow down a little bit. A lot of folks want to sell at the bottom and buy at the top. If you've already experienced some losses, let's just talk about it.
That's right. A lot of people still have major concerns about their retirement plan, but the good news is you and your team have created an offer for our listeners, Scott. So tell us more about this.
Right, Danielle. The offer today is a Retirement Decoded Toolkit. My staff at Scott Tucker Solutions put this together, and you can claim your Retirement Decoded Toolkit by texting the keyword book. You can call or text the keyword book to 224-496-3999 or go to retirementdecoded.com. So you can text the keyword book, B-O-O-K, to 224-496-3999 or call that number, 224-496-3999. Might be easier to remember. You can just go to retirementdecoded.com. At retirementdecoded.com, you just enter in some information and we'll get your copy of Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go, as well as the Retirement Decoded Toolkit. I think it could really help you with these times of market volatility.
That's right. If you have questions about your retirement, take advantage of this offer today. It's very simple. Call or text the word book to 224-496-3999. Again, that's the word book to 224-496-3999 or head to retirementdecoded.com to get your toolkit today.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Firm does not provide tax services.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 17 minutes. Outbound, about 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 25 minutes. Outbound, about 50 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 27 minutes. Outbound, about 21 minutes. On the Stevenson, this is going to be inbound on the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 28 minutes. This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts you're stuck in the past, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
A warm day today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. Our high 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Periods of clouds and sun. A hot day tomorrow. Thunderstorm for the afternoon. A high tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The assassinations and attempted assassinations of state legislative personnel in Minnesota over the weekend, terrible stuff. A former House Speaker, state representative, member of the DFL party, and her husband were murdered by an individual who is now in custody, was taken into custody last night, and another state legislator and his wife were shot multiple times by the same alleged assailant, and
miraculously survived.
Yeah, they're so expected to survive, which is good news. He had a list of 70 names of people that were in or tangentially connected to politics. It's reported, and this is a guy who was. I mean, it's a little unclear about exactly what his professional background is. There's talk he was impersonating a police officer when he arrived at the homes of his targets in what looked like a police vehicle, in what looked like a police uniform. So that's perhaps why he got a response at the door from the people that he was targeting. Anyway, so background in security, background in Christian missionary work. He's living with another guy, but his wife and 3 relatives are picked up, apparently fleeing the jurisdiction. They haven't been arrested, but they were questioned. This is the text that he left his roommate, that his roommate then relayed to the local press.
I love you guys. I made some choices, and you guys don't know anything about this, but I'm going to be gone for a while. Sorry. Take your time. Maybe dead shortly. So I just want to let you know that I love you guys both, and I wish it hadn't gone this way. I don't want to say anything more and implicate you in any way, because you guys don't know anything about this. But I love you guys, and I'm sorry for all the trouble this has caused.
And on Friday, he paid him 4 months of rent. I gave him a $900 check.
Strange. A 57-year-old white dude.
Yeah.
He apparently had been appointed to a state workforce board in Minnesota back under former Governor Mark Dayton. But it's not clear if he had any particular interactions or motivations with the people he did shoot and the other people on his list. Because, for example, the Speaker of the House who he murdered had voted for this compromise budget deal that included removing people in this country illegally from Minnesota's state Medicaid rolls. But the senator who he shot, the state senator he shot, voted against that budget deal. Yeah. So it's just a little unclear. Jack Brewer is a former Vikings standout. He told Fox News, "We need to start calling this what it is. These people have lost their minds. I'm heartbroken to see one of the most amazing states in America completely turned around under Governor Tim Walz. Minnesota is confused. Minnesota has become the capital of chaos in America. It's not right. It's not a reflection of the true people of Minnesota. There are a lot of good people there, but the liberal hub around Minneapolis and St. Paul has taken over, and it's dangerous. Tim Walz is the leader of that. His Attorney General, Keith Ellison, is right there with him."
And to make things even more bizarre, Vance Balter, he was charged in Hennepin County with it wasn't premeditated. I mean, he was literally wearing a mask and had a hit list. So it seems premeditated to me, but he was not charged. This is such a joke.
Well, let's get more information on what is currently known. John Hinderaker is the president of Center of the American Experiment, which is up in Minnesota, and a contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be with you, Dan.
So can you color in any of those details or connect any of those dots if they do indeed connect?
Well, yes and no. I mean, facts are coming out. So, for example, he was reappointed. Bolter was reappointed to that Workforce Development Board by Tim Walz, and the certificate recites that Walz is doing it because of his exceptional integrity and ability and so forth. And, of course, now we're being told Walz never heard of the guy, which could be true.
That could be true.
But he obviously at some point had some political connections, and nothing has come out about what in the world prompted first Dayton, then Walz, to put this guy on that governor's commission. Everybody's relying very heavily on statements by this so-called roommate, David Carlson, who's the only one who's really spoken about Bolter's alleged political proclivities, and he says he wasn't a very political guy. He says he thinks he voted for Trump, but the majority of the country voted for Trump, so that's not particularly revealing. Carlson says that he was opposed to abortion, but he wasn't obsessed about it. So we don't really have a clear picture of this guy's views, and probably the most meaningful information we've got is who's on that list. And it sounds like they were, the press has described them as DFL political figures and abortion providers. Well, I don't know. I mean, they say pro-abortion political figures. Well, all of the DFL party is pro-abortion, so that does not, in fact, narrow it down. And the authorities have said they're not going to release his so-called manifesto, which he left behind in his vehicle. So, that's kind of what we know so far. This guy Carlson has said that Bolter's wife, Jenny, called him, and she was as shocked as he was that Bolter apparently had done this, and she had no explanation for it either. But then the next thing you know, she's being stopped driving north in central Minnesota with passports in her car, a firearm and ammunition, and some unnamed relatives who I assume are probably some of the Bolter's
kids,
5 children.
Yeah.
So is she fleeing to Canada? I don't know. I mean,
it sure looked like it.
way.
Well, they
Yeah,
detained her. She was picked up outside of a convenience store, and they detained her for 3 hours, but they let her go for some reason. But what's her relationship with Tim Walz? I'm hearing rumblings that she worked for Tim Walz, or is that just another rumor?
I think it's just another rumor. I mean, it could be true, but I've seen no evidence of that. I've seen her described as a Tim Walz intern at one time. Well, Bolter was 57, and she was something, close to that. So unless she was a 52-year-old intern, I don't see how that would be true. So there are facts that we still don't know here. But I think what we can say is that this is just an astonishingly awful, evil series of actions carried out by a guy. It's really a puzzle. I mean, everybody's kind of scratching their head over how this guy snapped and this. His background is very obscure. He spent a little time as an evangelical preacher in the Congo. He claims to have had some background in security, although that's very obscure. He was trying to get a security business off the ground, but that really hadn't happened. And in the meantime, he had a job transporting bodies for a morgue, and I believe was working at a local 7-Eleven store. So the whole picture is just, very, very strange.
Well,
and he apparently had some money at one time. He had a pretty expensive house down in South Minnesota, but he lived there part of the time. But part of the time he lived in this place in North Minneapolis with a couple of guys that he knew, and reportedly that was to be closer to his work. So there's a lot we don't know.
Well, and there's also reporting, by the way, that there were pro-life advocates also on his hit list. But I suppose we'll see.
And the other thing we should mention, Dan, and again, who knows what it means, but in his vehicle he had a big stack of flyers that said "No Kings." I don't think they said anything else, just "No Kings." So what does that mean? I don't know.
Well, but you mentioned authorities have said they're not going to release his manifesto. I wonder if the FBI will come in and take over this case and perhaps have a different attitude at some point, because, because this is going to be controversial again, and we'll be fighting over this, the need for transparency here, rather than trusting law enforcement, especially when law enforcement is under the direction of Jacob Fry in Minneapolis.
Well, or Keith Ellison at the state level,
same deal,
or if he's charged in Hennepin County, which is where the murder, I think that is where he's charged. That's Mary Moriarty, who was the pro-crime county attorney in that county.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, so he's been charged this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to review the charges, but second-degree murder, not premeditated. I mean, he had on a creepy silicone mask over his face and looked exactly like a police officer. I'm just surprised. Do you think there's some favoritism going on there?
Well, I don't know how it could be any more premeditated. I assume that what they're doing here is they're beginning with these charges.
Yeah.
There'll be an ongoing investigation, and they can amend the charges, and I assume that they're going to do that.
Yeah. Pulling back from this, particularly since Minneapolis, St. Paul was one of those areas where the political power structure platformed violence towards political ends. What was the No Kings activity like over the weekend up there?
Well, they had a big crowd. There was a report that was canceled because this guy was on the loose, and some of the people who were going to be speaking there apparently were on his list. But they went ahead anyway. Walz didn't show up. The lieutenant governor didn't show up. But Keith Ellison, the attorney general, did, and he gave this rabid anti-Trump speech. And reports are that there were something like 20,000 people at the state capitol. So I think they had a good turnout for that anti-Trump rally.
So in other words, no lessons have been learned or will be learned.
No, and I think that's really the point, Dan. I mean, these political assassinations and attempted assassinations are few and far between, but in a country of 340 million or whatever it actually is, it doesn't take a lot of lunatics, and you start building up a track record of these kinds of violent acts. And of course, when it happens, the reality is that all of us, our first thought is, well, I hope it wasn't one of our crazies. I hope it was one of the crazies on the other side. And it's kind of sad that everybody says, we got to condemn all political violence and not try to make hay out of it. But the DFL party already is putting out various kinds of reports and feeding information to journalists, trying to paint this guy as somebody on the right as opposed to the left. And I think the reality is he wasn't a very political guy, period.
Speaking of Tim Walz, since he had his star turn right next to our governor there, Pritzker, last week before the House Oversight Committee, how was his sort of, we all need to work together and get along, glossing over the sanctuary state implications in Minnesota? How was that received back home?
It's really hard to say. One of the local TV stations did a poll and claimed to find Walz at 58% approval. I'm skeptical of that. A much smaller percentage said they wanted to run for a third term, which apparently he's going to do. So I guess we'll find out. It's hard for me to believe he's got that kind of an approval rating after the disastrous vice presidential run, and understanding that the state of Minnesota has really been slipping badly in recent years. This is something that my organization is constantly talking about. Well, that fact is finally kind of seeping into the consciousness of,
Well, didn't he have a budget surplus when he took office?
Oh, yeah, $17.6 billion.
Billion.
Billion. Yeah, they've spent it all. They didn't rebate anything to the taxpayers. They just spent it. So now we're looking at a budget deficit, and we had this crisis in the legislative session that just ended where they're trying to solve the budget deficit that is looming.
Well, how bad is the budget deficit?
Well, there's a structural deficit right now. In 2024, the state government took in $4.7 billion less than it spent. So we're simply spending down that surplus. The structural deficit is around $2 billion. And of course, what those of us on the right are trying to do is cut spending so that not only do we eliminate the structural deficit, but we have some room to cut taxes, which is what we desperately need to do.
Well, that was why the socialists were crying, because they had to agree to this budget deal that eliminated Medicaid coverage for people in this country illegally residing in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The leadership made that deal. And by the way, the former speaker, Melissa Hortman, didn't vote for that because she really wanted to cut off that medical care for illegal aliens. You know, she was in favor of doing it, but as the DFL leader in the House, which is tied 67-67, she had to vote for the deal that she had negotiated.
Right.
That's why she was the lone Democrat voting for that.
Yeah.
For that proposal.
And crying about having to do so,
and
too.
Crying about it on
Yes.
camera, yeah, right.
John Hindraker, president and center of the American Experiment and contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. John, thanks as always.
Great to be with you, Dan.
Thank you, too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
By the way, on the charges against the alleged assassin in Minnesota, charge of first-degree murder, it requires a grand jury in Minnesota. The grand jury hasn't met yet, so charges are expected to be upgraded.
Got it.
I'm sure even the Hennepin County State's Attorney is not that dense. Guys, spring is here. Time for gatherings with friends, family, and outdoor activities. But how are you going to keep up if low testosterone is draining your energy? The answer, TRT with Synergen X and Low T Center. They might seem convenient, but many online TRT services can be a hassle to get started. You end up spending hundreds of dollars and wasting time, so don't fall for it. Trust the experts at Synergen X and Low T Center. That's who I trust. They've been changing patients' lives for a combined 25 years. They understand what guys need. They're in person and make it easy to get started. Start today with a free consultation and free testosterone test. Best thing about it, the free part, and it's fast. They have on-site labs to process your test quickly, and if you qualify, you can start treatment that day. They have locations across Chicagoland. And for guys looking to lose a few pounds, Synergen X and Low T Center make it easy with prescription weight loss medications. And they do accept most major health insurance, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so go right now to fixmylowt.com to book your appointment. That's fixmylowt.com. You'll be glad you did.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to Chadwick Moore, the official biographer of one Tucker Carlson, about border security, the Middle East, all kinds of things. 8:08.
Today it's going to be warmer. Intervals of clouds and sun, a high of 87 degrees. It is 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
From crawling through crops to walking into court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Vance Belter will do this afternoon in Minnesota after he was captured last night in a field.
There's no question that this is the largest manhunt in the state's history.
Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley. Belter had 4 guns and a list of names when he was found, already charged with murder and attempted murder, accused in Saturday's shootings of 2 state lawmakers and their spouses.
Dressed like a police officer, he wore a Halloween-style mask and drove what looked like a squad car. He went to the homes of 2 powerful Minnesota politicians, shooting them and their spouses, killing 1 couple. The list he had apparently had other names of politicians he may have planned to kill.
Fox's Matt Finn in Brooklyn Park. There's no end to the new conflict in the Middle East.
Israeli fighter jets are currently striking a series of new targets inside Iran.
And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just told troops at an airbase after taking out Iran's defenses, they now control the skies over Tehran. As Israel also continues to strike missiles and damage Iran's nuclear facilities, aiming to prevent them from building weapons. Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
This follows ballistic missile fire launched by the regime overnight at both central and northern Israel. 8 people were killed in those strikes, 5 impact areas, and significant damage caused to residential blocks.
President Trump says the U.S. is not involved in the Iran-Israel battle, something he'll talk about with other world leaders at a G7 summit today in Canada. Before flying there, he told reporters,
sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
The White House also intends to advance trade and energy talks here. AI and migration are also on the agenda.
That's Fox's Jared Halbert in Calgary. The search continues in West Virginia for several people still missing after heavy rain triggered flash flooding in the Wheeling area, killing 6 others. Days after floods left 13 people dead in San Antonio, Texas area. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. People throughout the country are voicing their opposition to the Trump administration. Thousands took to the streets on Saturday in Chicago and surrounding suburbs as part of No King's Day. The demonstrations were held on the same day as President Trump's military parade and birthday celebration in Washington, D.C. Organizers believe the downtown protest to be one of the largest in the country, with an estimated 15,000 people in attendance. Police say 1 person was arrested. An investigation is underway after a threatening anti-Semitic letter was sent to a home in Highland Park. Police say that officers arrived at a home last night in the 900 block of Marion Avenue after residents reported receiving a threatening letter containing anti-Semitic comments in their mailbox. Highland Park Police immediately notified the FBI and the State Terrorism and Intelligence Center. The preliminary investigation indicated that the letter was sent through the U.S. Postal Service. The letter was also tested for hazardous material and deemed to be non-toxic. News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, in celebration of Father's Day, Synergen X and Low T Center are offering free tests and weight loss consultations for a limited time. Book your free consultation and T-test from now until June 21st and get a free B12 shot as an extra boost of energy. Give dad or yourself the gift of a new start this Father's Day. Book now at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
I'm Jerry Willis, and this is the Fox Business Report. The Israel-Iran conflict is continuing. However, the oil market appears to have calmed. Oil analysts say there is ample oil storage in Western countries and China. Stock futures are rebounding slightly. Changes could be coming at Victoria's Secret. The Wall Street Journal says activist investor Barrington Capital Group has purchased a stake in the business and believes it could improve it. Amazon is planning to invest $13 billion in Australia to expand data centers and accommodate demand for artificial intelligence. Anne Wojcicki, founder of 23andMe, is now the highest bidder for the DNA testing company. Her nonprofit topped the bid made last month by biotech Regeneron. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Larry Elder addresses our debt.
Here's the problem. Both parties spend money. They may have different priorities, but both parties spend money. The other big problem is that much of the government spending is on automatic pilot. By that, I'm talking about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
We've all been there. It's the opening night of the school play, or it's the piano or dance recital, or maybe it's the Christmas pageant at your church. And everyone's fumbling with their phones, leaning and straining to get the perfect snapshot of that special moment. And too often, the images come out blurry, crooked, or overexposed. For the big events in the life of your church or school, trust Tom Killoran Photography. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography. They've worked with dance studios, orchestras, and sports teams to capture those memorable moments that you want to last a lifetime. And they can do the same for you and your organization. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com, or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
What's wrong, Ben? Nicole can read my mind, Arvid. What?
We were talking about the optionizable Ashton recliner at Penny Mustard.
I said I'd like it in leather, and she said...
Done.
I suggested a different leg color, and she said...
Done.
Spooky.
Look, I don't think Nicole can really read your mind.
Well, not anymore. That's why I'm wearing this tinfoil hat.
It smells fishy.
I wrap my lunch in it.
The Ashton recliner, starting at $28.70 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 26 minutes. Outbound, about 58 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 27 minutes. Outbound, about 30 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 31 minutes. Outbound, about 30 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 20 minutes. Traffic is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by getting Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Intervals of clouds and sun, a warm day. High today up to 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Hot day tomorrow. Periods of clouds and sun. Thunderstorm forward the afternoon. High tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The continuing reckless disregard for the truth from the D.C. Press Corps and its regional outposts to fan the flames of leftist grievance politics and even violence, because these are ends justify the means types. KTLA in Los Angeles. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem attends ICE raid of home of pregnant LA County mother. ICE is raiding the homes of people, of pregnant women to uproot them from their home and their family. No. Bill Malugin actually was with Kristi Noem and ICE for that operation, and he reports, to correct the record, it wasn't targeting a pregnant mother. It was targeting her previously deported illegal alien Mexican husband who had been convicted of drug trafficking in February and had an attempted murder charge pleaded down to an assault conviction.
Well, there you
ICE
go.
had a criminal warrant for his arrest signed off by a federal judge because he illegally re-entered the U.S. after removal, which is a felony. That's slightly different than targeting pregnant mother in L.A. Slightly different.
Just a tad bit.
This is what gaslights all of these senior Marxists that populate the town squares in metropolitan areas like Chicagoland, and did so this past weekend. It is highly annoying. And in addition to the speakers they feature, like that shrew and former DNC member. She's out now. She quit.
Oh.
There's trouble in River City over at the DNC. But anyway,
David Hogg.
Randy Weingarten
Oh, boy.
Was featured at one of these No Kings rallies, spreading misinformation like KTLA, because, you know, that's what they do.
You are the community to this president's chaos. And together, we build a future of opportunity and justice for all. Hope over fear, aspiration over anger, the promise of America for each and every American. That is what we are fighting for today.
Yeah, aspiration over anger. That was really featured at these rallies around the country. But Randy was speaking to her people, those who are illiterate thanks to attending government schools. Chadwick Moore is New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography of Tucker Carlson. His Substack is at Chadwick Moore, substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick Moore, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you.
Give us your summary after perusing what the left offered this weekend.
Well, I I mean, mission accomplished. It's Monday and we still don't have a king. So they're 250 years too late, but, better late than never. Thank you for that, I guess. They, we had there's a local city councilwoman here in New York, Vicky Palladino from Queens, who's a Republican, who really summed it up nicely. She said that, they're protesting, King's anti-authoritarianism, but look at any solid blue city like New York, like Chicago, like LA, and that is where you have true authoritarianism. You have one-party Democrat rule in these fiefdoms that is ironclad. You absolutely have zero opposition to anything that comes up for a vote in these places. So, that's a far cry from how Washington looks. You see what trouble Trump has in this term and even in his first term getting anything done. So it doesn't look anything like a monarchy or an authoritarian regime, but certainly our cities do. And that's really all you need to look at for the hypocrisy of these people, of course. And then, of course, you have Kamala Harris. Like, nobody points to the fact that, first of all, they were calling her queen, Yas Queen, so I guess that one's okay when she was running. But she didn't go through any sort of process. They didn't hold a primary, the Democrats. She was just anointed and then, of course, lost. These people are ridiculous. I mean, it seemed like an utter failure, really, because not many people were paying attention to what they were doing, and they ended up just being a joke.
Yeah, I mean, for goodness sake, they treated Barack Obama like the Christ child. I mean,
he's the second coming,
yes,
folks.
Right.
I mean, please.
So much of this is centered around ICE and removing people from this country who are here illegally and also pose a public safety threat. New York Post, though, had a story over the weekend. Nearly 1 million immigrants have self-deported under Trump.
Wow.
So, some are definitely taking advantage of the window that was provided so that maybe one day you could come into this country legally, and then stay if you play by the rules and you're otherwise interested in being productive, which many people trying to get into this country want to do and are. And it really provides more separation and isolation with from the left's position of open borders, abolishing ICE, and defending sanctuary jurisdictions, as we saw again last week.
Yeah, and they're trying to paint this whole operation as being so cruel, and Republicans and Trump supporters are just so inhuman to treat these people this way. And nobody points to the fact of how cruel it was to have open borders in the first place. That the Democrats so cruelly let these people in where they're going to be second-class citizens, they're going to make lower wages, they're not going to have voting rights, they're not going to have the same rights as any person who legally belongs here. And, of course, eventually there was going to be a Republican or someone else to come in and start deporting people and to upend their lives. So the open borders is what was cruel and inhuman. And even just looking at the countries that these people come from, if things are so bad in your country because of gang warfare or whatever, nothing's ever going to get better if everyone just are allowed to leave and get up and come to the United States. They don't like to point to those facts.
Well, they also like to point to the facts that a lot of people here are trafficked here or otherwise exploited en route to get here, too. So you're enriching cartels and other insidious organizations by your open borders policy, as Tom Homan always makes the case that, secure borders save lives.
Exactly. And they don't like to talk about any of that. They don't want to point any attention to that. They're just using the same old tired emotional arguments, but it's not working because the majority of America, I think as last I saw, was 52% of all Americans still support mass deportations and not just people who've committed additional crimes since they enter the country illegally.
So all of this anti-ICE, protests and no King's Days, it seems to be taking away from LGBTQ++ Pride Month.
I know.
Are you upset
really
as a gay man?
I really don't think that we've gotten enough attention lately. I don't think that people talk about us enough. And so it's just a real tragedy that the 1 month that we have that maybe someone might listen to us and we might get a little media coverage is being taken away by these deportations. That's the big crime, really.
I know. Well, you wrote an article in the New York Post about Pride events across the nation are facing budget shortfalls, and who's to blame for that?
So, major corporations are stepping away from Pride and funding Pride events. And here in New York, the biggest Pride event in the country is 25% of corporate donors have retreated. These are companies like Pepsi, Garnier, a bunch of big banks, a bunch of defense contractors. I don't know why they're sponsoring Pride, but there you have it. If you listen to the organizers of these events, and this is happening across the country, not just in New York, and if you listen to the nonprofits that run these organizations, and also reporters for places like the New York Times, they say, well, these companies are just really scared of a backlash from the Trump administration if they are caught, I don't know what, putting their logo on a float. I don't think the Trump administration is too concerned about that. But what's probably more likely or just as likely is that these companies over the previous 4 years felt an immense amount of pressure to step up their woke bona fides by not only sponsoring Pride events, but increasing their DEI operations within their businesses, really feeling the Democrat gun in their back. And now they don't feel that pressure anymore. And they also perhaps see the fact that these events have become extremely toxic. They've become far left political rallies, whereas they once maybe were, a weekend of fun and revelry for a subculture. Now they've become these sort of aggressively far left political rallies, and also all these videos going around of children being there, of public nudity, of public lewdness. What company at Straight Mind wants to be involved in that if they don't have a Democrat administration putting the gun in their back, saying that they need to start coughing up money for gay events and DEI initiatives?
Now, as the official biographer of Tucker Carlson, and you wrote the book Tucker, his biography, I got to ask you about this contretemps between, say, the Tuckers of the world, but specifically Tucker, and the people he's calling out as warmongers like Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Rupert Murdoch. Trump weighed in on this a bit indirectly in an interview he gave to The Atlantic, where he said, considering I'm the one that developed the term America First, and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, which is not exactly true, but that's okay. I think I'm the one that decides that. For people who say they want peace, you can't have peace if Iran has a nuclear weapon. So for all of those wonderful people who don't want to do anything about Iran having a nuclear weapon, that's not peace. And that was a shot across the bow at Tucker Carlson's The Real Divide is between the peacemakers and the warmongers and the people calling on Trump to do something about Iran's nuclear program and otherwise support Israel's strikes against Iran's nuclear program are somehow warmongers. And he specifically refers to, as I said, Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Miriam Adelson. What are we to understand about Tucker's position on Israel, the Middle East, and peace there?
He's made it clear. He said a few times that, when it comes down to it, he's, on Israel's side, but he ultimately doesn't want America involved in these conflicts anymore. And he's made a real effort on his show lately to get that out there, to have people on who are critical of Israel and their behavior, and not in the sense that, he's not one of these Israel doesn't have a right to exist from the river to the sea sort of people at all, or one of these like Jews control the weather sort of people, but he just doesn't want us in there. He said many times that he cares about this country and only this country. And he's been pretty consistent over the last couple years in that. And also seemed to have been trying to speak directly to Trump over several months to warn him against getting into a conflict with Iran and to stay out of the Middle East. So, he's being consistent in that. There is a big divide on the kind of Trumpian right where this is concerned, and what our role should be in that area and in that conflict.
Mark Levin and others who he's critical of call him Chatsworth Cutterlson. And they're suggesting something that people have said explicitly, that basically he's on Cutter's payroll, and this explains his change of view on Israel. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I've heard people saying that. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what documentation they've seen that Cutter has given him money or supported his company. And he's made jokes about it and said it's not true. But I mean, I guess coming from the amount of time that I spent with him and got to know him, I don't understand why he would let a foreign company invest in his venture. He's not making he's not struggling to make money on his podcast.
Right.
And after leaving Fox News, he said that he's never wanted to have another boss ever again. He had lots of people coming to him, offering him to back his new network. He had a lot of people offering him jobs to come for other networks, and he turned that all down because he wanted to be a free agent and independent. So I don't know why he would have a foreign country sponsoring him. I think he wouldn't do it for the simple fact that being so America first, if that were ever to be uncovered through documentation, it would completely ruin him. Why would you take that risk? I don't know.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, that's logical, but but with Qatar, they're sort of trying to do with politics what the Saudis have done with golf, and sort of like a live political operation. It seems to me, and maybe this is just connecting dots that don't connect and making assertions because people are upset with positions he's taken and vice versa. So I'm not saying that I don't have any evidence. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is the accusation that is being bandied about, and the context of said accusation, and it's just worth sort of investigating. And I mean, and it's a legitimate question to ask of Tucker after he did that sit down with the Emir of Qatar and the position, the evolution of his positions, or devolution maybe, of his positions with respect to Israel. That's all.
I think that a lot of the people who are very hardcore on Israel that are in conservative American politics, I've seen them, and this is before the Iran strike. This has been going on for months when they've been coming after Tucker for having guests on that maybe said one or two things that were critical of Israel.
Yeah.
That, when they're coming after him in this sort of cancel culture mentality and making, it didn't work for the left for many years. I think that it's really not good for the strongly pro-Israeli people to be taking this line of attack against, someone like Tucker Carlson. It seems like there's probably a better way and a softer way to do it that isn't going to blow up in their face, because, it turns people off when you start trying to say they can't say certain things and start trying to go into smear campaigns because they're critical of one policy or another. That's just sort of my advice for those people.
Chadwick Moore is New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography on Tucker Carlson, as we mentioned. You can find his musings on Substack, substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission: to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Gentlemen, spring is here. Time for gatherings with friends, family, and outdoor activities. But how are you going to keep up if low testosterone is draining your energy? The answer, TRT with Synergen X and Low T Center. They might seem convenient, but many online TRT services can be a hassle to get started. You end up spending hundreds of dollars and wasting time, so don't fall for it. Trust the experts at Synergen X and Low T Center, who I trust. They've been changing patients' lives for a combined 25 years. They understand what guys need. They're in person, and they make it easy to get started. You can start today with a free consultation and free testosterone test. The best thing about it, the free part, and it's fast. They have on-site labs to process your test quickly, and if you qualify, you can start treatment that day. They have locations across Chicagoland, and for guys looking to lose a few pounds, Synergen X and Low T Center make it easy with prescription weight loss medications. They do accept most major health insurance, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so go right now to fixmylowt.com to book your appointment. That's fixmylowt.com. You'll be glad you did.
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like two-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info's protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. AM 560, The Answer.
A lot of text messages about that last question posed to Chadwick Moore. Dan and Amy, Tucker doesn't want to see the U.S. get involved in a war because he has military-aged children, just like other parents don't want to see their kids die for no real reason. Okay. Hannity, Dan and Amy, is a warmonger. Either way you slice it. He never saw a war he didn't like. So keep it coming. 312-642-5600, and you could text us a message.
Okay. By the way, I have to mention, how about J.J. Spaun winning the U.S. Open yesterday? This great story, walk-on at San Diego State, won one time in the last, in his 13 years on tour, and had to go back, I think, to Q School a few years in and earn his card back. And then, on the unbelievably tough course in inclement conditions, those cold-blooded shots down the stretch, the drive on 17, and then he could easily 3-putted 18 to send it to a playoff, and instead he drains that 60-footer. That was
64-foot putt.
That was
what?
something. It's just a great story, and it shows you. So he won once on the tour, and now he's a U.S. Open champion. 13 years on the tour.
Wow.
And how good is he? And that's how difficult it is to win on the tour, much less a major. And obviously, there's players that have a much more impressive resume that don't have a major like J.J. Spaun does now. But anyway, great story, and that was a great weekend of golf.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we can talk more golf if you want.
Well, at 8:38, it sort of dovetails why Dan Proft is single, because that's all he wants to do or talk about. But there's another reason too, and an L.A. Aerial reporter was sort of channeling his inner Dan Proft. We'll have that at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is not backing down from ICE raids that have spiked over a week of protests in Los Angeles.
On Sunday, Trump announced he is directing his administration to use every resource possible on mass deportation efforts. He mentioned increasing enforcement actions in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and other cities he considers the core of the Democrat power center. Trump made the announcement a day after No Kings protests against his policies were held in major cities across the U.S. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Officials in Minnesota are providing more details on the arrest of a suspect in the killing of a Minnesota state lawmaker. Vance Bolter was captured alive near Green Owl after being spotted on a trail earlier Sunday by a camera. Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Burley told reporters that the chase to capture Bolter was the largest manhunt in the state of history and included hundreds of detectives and 20 different SWAT teams. Bolter is accused of killing state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband. He's also accused of shooting and injuring Democratic Senator John Hoffman and his wife. News is the service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save 90% off 4 dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the road's coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
They took everything. Our equipment, our supplies, it's all gone.
It's devastating. Every order is going to be delayed for months, and our customers are going to find someone else.
I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. We're already getting calls from clients checking on their orders.
Who knows how long it will take to get back on our feet? What were we thinking not upgrading our security?
Don't let a break-in devastate your business. Protect yourself with Goldilocks. They'll create a customized security solution for you. From commercial doors with keyless entry to 24/7 alarm monitoring, they have you covered. Learn more at GoldilocksInc.com and have a security technician conduct an on-site assessment of your business. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call Goldilocks now. 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicagoland's premier locksmith stores and security systems company since 1981.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 26 minutes. Outbound, about 58 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 27 minutes. Outbound, about 30 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 31 minutes. Outbound, about 30 minutes. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
A warm day today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. Our high 87. Partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 68. Periods of clouds and sun. A hot day tomorrow. Thunderstorm for the afternoon. A high tomorrow at 91. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
from the Signature Bank Studios.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Well, I guess it's gets a little bit lonely when you're in a chopper above a metropolitan area like Los Angeles and just, I don't know, drifting off into the clouds with your thoughts, thinking about your life. And you start talking about what's going on at home as you're making your way out to cover a No Kings rally. That's what happened with Stu Mundel, longtime helicopter reporter for Fox 11 LA. And on the live stream, he started talking about his marriage. And
oh no!
I guess things could be going better for
good old
Stu. Yeah,
for Stu.
It's not going great.
Is this gonna make me cry?
Well, I mean, it could be going better for Stu, and I'm
Who's
feeling
like Stu?
I'm feeling what he's saying, honestly,
Oh, no.
even though I'm not even technically married like he is.
You know what? I don't care. I don't care about my. I am married. I am legally married. I am legally married. That's about the only way you can really say it. I am legally married, but I am not looking at now at all. I just had a bunch of debacles with my personal life. Yes, it's true. I know it's hard to believe. Somebody that doesn't even know what he's talking about in a relationship, and But I got nothing right now. Got nothing. Not really looking.
Oh boy.
Trying to find myself and be happy. I'm being serious about that.
Finding yourself. Yeah.
Oh my! This is so embarrassing.
I want to be beholden to no one at this moment. Do I get lonely? Of course. But I got cats. So.
Stu Mundel, beholden to no one. I mean, it's very, very like De Niro in Heat. You got to be ready to, no attachments. You got to be ready to move if the heat's around the corner. He went on to acknowledge that I love bourbon. I do love the bourbon. I love the whiskey. I love the bourbon. That's 3 times he said it. Love the gin. Do love the gin. All right, kids, we're making our way to Torrance, and he's cut back in. So he's sort of like, it's almost like this.
He's having a counseling session with his co-pilot.
Well, yeah, and he's sort of like going on this rant, and then it's like Hank Azaria in, what was this series? He's calling a baseball game, and he's going off on sort of a rant about what's going on at home, and then he goes back to, calling the play-by-play. That's sort of what's happening here. He goes back to then talking to base camp about where he is and so on and so forth. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line if you want to commiserate with Stu or offer any advice and counsel in addition to the cats.
Why do you relate to Stu? Besides the fact that he likes cats. I mean, what is it about that comment that you? Well,
the fact that he is not a young man.
Okay.
And the fact that he is now in his well into middle age, and he's broken. He's been broken because that's when somebody's in the middle age and say, I'm just looking to find myself and be happy. That person has been broken.
Okay.
And what broke him?
A woman.
Ostensibly. Yeah.
Or being miserable in his marriage.
Yeah, he's technically married, but he's not looking. He doesn't want to be with anybody, and he's willing to tell the entire Fox 11 audience about these details.
What was her name? She worked at CNN, and she was on a hot mic, and she went to the bathroom in between during commercial breaks. That's what anchors do. And she's telling somebody in the bathroom, she's like, her coworker asked her, "What are you doing this weekend?" She said, "I have to hang out with my sister-in-law." And that was live on the air. And then she came back. She was in the bathroom, but her audio was
I know.
being blared over a commercial.
Naked Gun. He goes,
and then she flushes the toilet. She flushed the toilet. She's like, I have to put up with my sister-in-law. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. And then they laugh, and then she had to apologize to her sister-in-law, who was listening at the time.
By the way, if you want to see one of the great all-time rants, Hank Azaria as Brockmire. That was the series. The first episode of Brockmire, his meltdown in the broadcast booth. Now, it's not PG-13, but it is one of the most hilarious meltdowns you're ever going to see. Now, he's a very good comedic actor, but anyway, I digress. Frank, Board of Trade, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I've dated over 300 women, and my recommendation is to...
yeah, you count,
Mm-hmm.
Frank?
I do keep a track. Well, actually, the dating thing is one thing, but the body count is a hard number. I'm down with that. So my recommendation to Stu...
Wow. Okay.
My recommendation to Stu and to all your male listeners, keep it light, guys.
Yeah. Are you a committed bachelor, Frank?
Bingo.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. There it is. Frank, my man, Frank.
Yeah, he's your hero.
Well, I'm just keep it light.
I want to hear more about his love for booze.
Well, I think he made it clear by repeating the different alcoholic beverages that he likes. This also, too, just thinking about it, because I was thinking about Stu's predicament, where he is legally he's married, but not really, and he doesn't care, and he doesn't want to be holding anyone, and he just wants to spend time with his cats and drink. Totally get it. But then I'm thinking, like, if he did try, or she demanded that he go to marriage counseling to try to save this thing, to try to rediscover himself and find happiness, then you know what happens. You go to one of these ghastly Marxist-trained therapists that we talked about last week.
Oh, yeah.
Naomi Epps Best, we got an update on that story. She was the whistleblower, essentially, that wrote this piece in the Wall Street Journal about Santa Clara University's training program for those who want to be professional therapists. For example, we were told to write, this is from her op-ed, we were told to write 8 to 10 pages, an 8 to 10 page comprehensive sexual autobiography. Frank from the Board of Trade could do that. Sounds like he wants to. Which could include early sexual memories, masturbation, current experiences, and future goals with an action plan, all updated to a third-party platform for grading. And then this assignment, too. One exercise included anonymously writing down something we disliked about our genitals or breasts to be read aloud in class by another student. And I just finished what I don't like about my genitals, which I'll let you read aloud tomorrow.
Why don't you just tweet it out or X it out?
Well, I mean,
that would be great.
But on the score, I mean, Naomi Epps Best, this whistleblower, I mean, it's 26-year-old, newly married, mother of a 1-year-old girl. I mean, she's like doing everything right, and she came forward rather than participate in this, this neo-Marxist lunacy, and that's what this is, the sexual depravity masquerading as an education and being a professional therapist. And she's got an update for us. Here's what happened to her after that op-ed was published in the Wall Street Journal.
Moments ago, I was fired from my therapy internship for blowing the whistle in the Wall Street Journal on ideological conformity in therapy training. This comes with the regret of my boss, but he was left no choice due to the climate we are now in. This will harm clients. I am not doing this for personal gain. I am doing this because if we don't have a set of therapists with diverse worldviews and with tolerance for people with diverse worldviews, we will alienate people who need psychological care, and we will cause more harm than good. Please help me by sharing this. I don't know what's next for me. It could get worse. I've been in contact with people who have large platforms, which I am grateful for, and I will talk to anybody, left, right, or center. This is not a partisan issue. This needs to be brought to the public attention. It is a crisis in therapy.
Mm-hmm. So then, I mean, what are you going to do? Send Stu, the chopper reporter, to somebody not named Naomi Epps' best for therapy with respect to his marriage or getting the two back together. That she also talked about in her piece, multicultural counseling. We're told that objective, rational inner thinking, delayed gratification, and making a plan for the future are traits of white culture. Was required to preface mock therapy sessions by naming my whiteness, warning I might misread clients because of my race. In human sexuality, we're taught that children with 6 months of gender distress should be affirmed in their belief they are the opposite sex, and so on and so forth. I mean, I'm telling you, Stu, just stick with the bourbon and the cats. Greg in LaGrange on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi. I mean, when I just think it can't get any lower, it does. This is just a re-education program. They're programming you. This whole thing about discussing what you don't like about your sexual reproductive organs, these people are willing, I'm sure, that if they were asked to show their reproductive organs and what they don't like about, they share it over the internet. I don't get why people have to share everything with the world, whether it be a ham sandwich or a sexual hang-up or a financial issue or whatever. It's just unbelievable to me. And then you go to these experts and they twist everything to the new ideologies, whether it be sexual or financial or ideological or anything. You're being played. Trust in family, trust in God. That's what you trust in. Don't trust in the internet. It's amazing. And as Western civilization crumbles, we see it. By the way, the Brandon O'Neill and Douglas Murray piece was excellent this weekend. Check it out.
Thanks.
God help us.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Well, how about Santa Clara University? This is a Jesuit university, allegedly. And their therapy course includes an assignment for undergrads there, or I guess maybe they're postgrads, but regardless, to read a Sado. This is for professional therapists that are going to make decisions about
your mental health,
child rearing, about going to intercede or be sought out to intercede in marital difficulties and so forth. Students were assigned to read a sadomasochistic erotica, sadomasochistic erotica, and a book called The Guide to Getting It On.
Oh, please.
And that was the predicate to write the 8 to 10 page comprehensive sexual autobiography to include early sexual memories, masturbation, current experiences, future goals, action plan, because you can't execute a sexual. I don't know. You can't execute your sexuality without an action plan or something like this. So this is where it's at. And so as I say, Stu, stick with the day job. Internalize some of those thoughts. Not everybody in LA needs to hear them. And when the chapter lands, not before, pour yourself a tall one, feed the cats, relax, put on Brockmire.
Well, KTLA
Nice
should give this
evening.
guy, or not KTLA, Fox 11 should give him a raise because their viewership kept going. The more he talked about his relationship
Oh, it's the best.
on the way to the No King protest, more people tuned in.
Well, right.
To the tune of thousands more than would otherwise.
Yeah, you might much rather listen to somebody bitch about his marriage than watch a bunch of senior citizens with getting a $25 slot credit to go out and mill about with, pea hats
And
on.
hold flags of countries they don't want to go back to.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Regenerative medicine, that's where it's at, folks. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you have chronic pain due to an injury that just won't go away or due to arthritis, I'm talking about pain in your shoulder, knees, hips, back, call our good friends at QC Kinetics. They're not quick fixes. It's a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. Now, you'll meet with medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team, and they will explain how their regenerative treatments take your body's own healing power and helps restore damaged tissue. They've helped tens of thousands of people, no masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. So say goodbye to chronic pain. Don't do those surgeries. Meet with our good friends at QC Kinetics first, and then you will live your best life. Find out if you're a candidate. The consultation is free with appointments weekdays and Saturdays. Call this number to schedule your free consultation. They'll walk you through the process. And again, they're not going to waste your money or your time. If you're not a good candidate for it, they will let you know. 312-809-5955. That's the number to call. 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Bridget, first-time homebuyer, posted this 5-star review about her mortgage experience. Team Hochberg made one of the biggest and nerve-wracking milestones in our life such an enjoyable experience. David and Anna talked us through every step in our home buying journey with a very tight timeline and made us feel comfortable every step of the way. We put in an offer at the beginning of November, and with Team Hochberg's help and expertise, we're able to close on our home by the end of the same month. I couldn't say better things about them and our experience. Team Hochberg all the way. Thank you, Bridget. If you'd like this type of 5-star service on your next mortgage, call Team Hochberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number one more time and that website you love, 855-563-2843, and go to 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, boy, this is shocking. After all the hue and cry, the importance of this agency, we were losing face. We were losing our standing in the world. People, children in particular, were going to starve if USAID was negatively impacted in any meaningful way. The first martyr of the Doge boys, USAID. You remember that waste, fraud, and abuse? And now waste, fraud, and abuse is very surface skimming. I'm the first one to say. But it doesn't make it not real. And so we get this story out of USAID. Just a reminder here. USAID official and 3 company executives plead guilty to fraud and bribery scheme involving at least 14 contracts worth over $550 million. USAID official took bribes, lavish gifts, cash, tickets to NBA games, country club wedding. Well, very nice. And he influenced the award of contracts at USAID. So, I mean, just again, the histrionics of the left. And then it subsides when the mascot runs out of political value. And then when the water recedes, you see that, what people of good faith were saying that are actually interested in the truth and interested in doing precisely what they say they're doing in terms of reducing profligate spending and eliminating abuses of other people's money, with other people's money. That what they were saying was, basically correct. Basically correct. The Doge thing, which needs to continue pushing on even in the absence of Elon. All right, and I just wanted to make sure we got that in.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to forget about this. But the Brockmire thing, the Brockmire rant.
Yeah. Do we have it?
This is this is even better than Stu's.
Okay.
On Fox 11.
Folks, here's the truth. Today is the 20th anniversary of the very first time that I told my lovely wife, Lucy, that I loved her. And ever since that day, as many of you know, I've signed off every single game the exact same way with a message to her. Lucy, put supper on the stove, my dear, because this ball game is over. Please imagine my surprise when I opened my front door to find about a half dozen naked folks sprawled out in my living room, engaged in what can only be described as a desperate and a hungry kind of a lovemaking. And right in the center of it all was my wife. My wife, Lucy. She was wearing a strap-on, and she was on our neighbor, Bob Greenwald. And folks, I do mean right in the ass. Fastball misses. Just low. Count goes full. 3-2.
Did he just say strap-on?
Hey, for you kids at home, strap-on is a belt with a on it that mommies use to daddies as Ibanez strikes out on a high fastball. That'll bring Clark up to bat. Clark having himself a heck of an afternoon with two doubles. Bob Greenwald. I mean, that two-faced SOB. I hosted his kid's bar mitzvah.
And it's even better than that. It goes on from there, as you can imagine. Yeah, Hank Azaria, Brockmire. Short-lived. It sort of fell off in the second season. But the first few episodes, you know, if you're of a certain low character like myself, you'll really appreciate it.
Yeah, like, what are you going to bring us next?
Also, the love interest there is...
who?
What's her name from Your Friends and Neighbors? Plays the wife/ex-wife of John Hamm. She was in... why am I blanking on her name? Amanda Hug and Kiss. No, that's not it. Amanda Peet.
Amanda Peet. Oh, yes,
Came to me.
yes.
All right, I still got it.
Okay.
But I mean, how staying in character, doing the play-by-play while the pretty good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, thank you so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. We're back at it tomorrow at 5 a.m. Of course, we couldn't do any of it without Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. Today, it's going to be warm. Have to turn on the AC finally. We'll have sunshine and some high clouds, high near 90 degrees. And then tomorrow, hot with periods of clouds and sunshine, a thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high near 91 degrees. It's now 9 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
A new threat from Iran. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Its president says if the U.S. does not restrain